Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Welcome in. Welcome in. Another episode of True Crime with Mark. Let me, guys, get you some intro music to set it off. Notification just went out. Just went out, so that it can come in. All right, welcome everybody. We'll get started. It's gonna be just a new episode came out from News Nation. It's got a lot of information, so I do want to get right into it. How's everybody doing? Welcome in. Welcome in. Who do we got in here? Let's see. Two QTs in here. Arizona, R1, Brown Eyed Girl, Cindy from Sunset, Florida, Cindy D, Gen X, KY, Lexi Moreno, Lisa, Melissa, Nosy Rosie, Racing Wild, Rar, Rhonda, Sharon, Viotka. How's everybody doing? Hey DJC Nova, how you doing? Good morning, Mark. El Chark. David's not gonna make it into prison. I don't know, man. That guy is in for a long, hard road ahead of himself. Ahead of him. Hey, Aaron. Corvette Girl. It's a cool name. All right, guys. So I do want to get started with this interview with SF Investigates, and I said let's watch it together. People were posting this on my Discord, so I was like, hey, Master Death Hancock, how you doing? All right, Master, sure. um, Fernanda. So I was like, let's just watch it together. So I'm gonna share my screen. Tribute, how you doing? Screen share. There we go. Let's see. We'll watch this together, and then I'll make some commentary. Here we go. Share. And this guy is. Hold on, let me make sure I. Whoops. Gideon Premium is who this video is from. So credit to him for interviewing SF. I actually sat next to SF when I was in the courtroom. I was to the right of him. The last courtroom hearing. It's so surreal, like seeing these people that you've been seeing online, and then you see them like in real life. You're like, whoa, it's kind of surreal. Let me bring up the screen again. Then I got like my morning voice. It's all raspy. Oh, thank you, Melissa. Been watching from Connecticut for a while now, but never speak. Thank you for all you do for us. Yeah, thank you guys for being up, being there with me. Yeah, the story does unfold, and the more the story comes out, yeah, the more it's horrible. Yeah. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna play this so we can catch up with a lot of stuff. And there's a News Nation one that just came out, so I want to watch that one too. So we'll watch it together and we'll make some commentary. That way, we're caught up with this case.
It's kind of a weird turn of events. I had a case going on in LA at the same time, and when they announced that a unidentified body had been found in Tesla, we thought it might be the person that the case I was working at that time, and obviously it wasn't. But through that, there was a couple of news interviews and stuff, and through that, the owner of the house that David was staying at, and where Celeste had visited him and whatnot, got in contact with me, and because he didn't rent the house to David, he rented it to his management.
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't under David's name. It was under his management team's name.
His manager.
So the house was rented out through his manager, but David was the primary person staying there?
Yeah, well, the owner of the house, or the owners, the husband and wife, had no idea who David was. The lease says it's for the exclusive use of Josh Marshall, his
Josh Marshall. Remember that guy, Josh Marshall?
manager. So they had no idea that somebody. They didn't know. First of all, they didn't know who the singer David was, and they didn't. They live out of state, and they didn't know that somebody else was living there. So this, all of a sudden, their house is involved in a search warrant, and all this. This tragic event happens to this teen losing her life, and they wanted to understand, what had happened, because LAPD wouldn't give them any answers, and so that's kind of how I got involved.
So Celeste's family never got in touch with you to like find her before. The only reason why you got involved was because the owners of the house had cops coming through their house investigating stuff, and they just didn't know what was happening.
Yeah, no, I've never been in touch with her family. I've tried. I didn't want to push them hard though, so I haven't really followed up more. But yeah, so the owners were very. It's never had anything to do with value.
Master Death Hancock says, "Yeah, what about the new place? Who helped them get that one?" I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. And the thing is that Harvey and Mark talking out there, but was it really homicide? Oh, is that what they posted? Man, they were doing. It's like they do good, and then like they just go off the deep end with stuff. But I don't know. Let me see.
The house or loss of value or anything. It's had to do with, they wanted to understand what happened there, because they have kids around that age, and they wanted to know if, like on like even a spiritual level, if they could go back in that house. It was really hard for them to fathom, if it happened there, or even even if it didn't happen there, just the fact that it's tied to it, they have some real decisions to make, as far as, it's, you can only imagine, especially when you can't get any answers from LAPD.
Yeah, I did see the family there. On the David's first court hearing, I did see the family. I did see the dad, the mom. You guys saw like the news media, like where they surrounded them. When she walked in, we were all waiting for them, and it was heartbreaking seeing the family walk in. It was the mom, the dad, and I believe the sister, but I'm not 100% sure because she had a mask on. But people were saying that that might have been the sister. And so, they walk in and they're just devastated. They are just devastated. So, I got to see them um, for the first time, and actually in real life. Yeah. So that was another thing that was surreal. You know, like these are real people. You know, real stories, real people, and real heartbreak. Let me play this.
He didn't even leave a copy of the search warrant, which they're supposed to do, behind. So it was really, he's just like, and they're from out of the country, you know, and so they don't really understand the laws and everything. I mean, they understand them, but they don't have a deep dive into them. And so they said, listen, we want to find out what happened, but within a very short amount of time, within a couple of days, it turned more to, you know, so we got to find out, like, if there's anything that's been missed, or anything we can do to assist to make sure, find out exactly what happened. Because at that time, there was still a lot of talk going around. Well, the car, you know, was reported stolen and stuff, which we find out, you know, that was never true. But they wanted to know what the truth was, and they wanted to make sure that Celeste, you know, got justice if she needed to get justice. Because remember, at that time too, they're telling us there might not be any crime here beyond concealment of a body, which was never true. I don't know why LAPD came out and said that, but they were making it sound like this might have been like an overdose or something, and they made a bad decision.
Well, I think it was. I know in hindsight, you know, we're like, why did they do that? What did they, you know? And there was two reasons for that. Either they were telling the truth and there was nothing there, or they were playing 3D chess. And I think that's what they were doing. The DA, LAPD, the sheriff's department, detectives, they were playing some 3D chess with this case. And, you know, with any case, I'm always optimistic. And I've always said this. I really want to believe at that time, right? We didn't know what was going on, obviously. So at that time, I'm like, I want to believe that everything's, you know, they're behind the scenes, they're behind the desk, they're just grinding it out. They're telling this guy. And sure enough, that's what it is. I mean, there was even a wiretap on David. So who knows what information that dude was saying? Who knows what he's talking about, right? He was probably singing. Let's play this again.
There was nothing like that. It was never anything like that. This was a guy who's a predator, and you know, I don't know why it took this long to get where we're at. I'm glad there's finally Pierce justice is coming, but as far as I'm concerned, it's taken too long, and it doesn't seem like there was this real urge. You know, it wasn't like this. There wasn't maybe the
sense of urgency.
Yes, exactly.
So the house that David was renting at, that the owners hired you, Celeste has been to that house, correct?
She has, yeah.
Was that the house that they're presuming that all of this went down at?
So it's the house that when they say, you know, she was lured to, that's the house. We don't know exactly where it happened. We're trying to, you know, I can tell you we've done a lot of investigation at the house trying to find out long before we even knew any of this information, this new information. We can't find an obvious, we don't, I'll tell you this, we don't know exactly where it happened. But we're trying to figure that out, and we're also trying.
And that's definitely going to come out in the courtroom. So I will be following this case. I've already gone to the first two hearings, and the next court hearing is going to be May 1st. So I'm going to do my best to go and check out the proceedings, you know, as it unfolds, seeing the judicial process of it all. Because I have been covering this case. You guys have been with me since day one. We've been covering this case since day one. We've been doing deep dives into this case, and this is what we're looking forward to. And now here it is. So I will be going to the courtroom and seeing this through, and seeing that Celeste Rivas and her family get justice.
Trying to find out where you know, the murder weapons maybe, and not only the murder weapon but also the dismemberment tools that were used.
So you were given access after all this started coming out. Like, was David still tied to that house? And
no. So as far as we know, the way it happened was David was on tour when this news broke. Even of the car being, you know, the initial LAPD initially being called to the tow yard because of a foul.
Yeah. So David was on tour. And I do have the video of him when he was on tour. And let me show you guys. Let me show you guys what he was doing right when they found the Tesla. It was like the day after they found the Tesla. Okay. And I told you guys, and I told you, I said, we're going to come back to this reaction. We're going to come back to this if he gets arrested, because at the time we didn't know, right? If and when he gets arrested, we're gonna come back to these reactions. And I said, look, we're gonna see, because everything he on TikTok, all his social medias, he was on there, and you could see the timeline. I mean, I went through countless videos on his TikTok. I did a live, and I went through like a few months of his TikTok. So this right here, I pulled it up for you guys. Actually, I might have to load it. Apologies, but let me see. Oh yeah, here it is. Actually, I do have it loaded. Nice. So I'm gonna, so I don't get copyrighted, I'm gonna pause it, or I'm gonna mute it. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna just go for it. It's fine. I'll edit it later. That way you guys can see like his full reaction, full view of how he is. Let's see. Oh, there we go.
So far, I'm going to play one of my favorite songs called Sky.
Smell and
Okay, so that was him right there. And if you notice, he has a 9/7 shirt. A 9/7 shirt, which is Celeste's birthday, September 7th. Okay, keep that in keep that in mind, man. Keep that in mind. This is the level of weirdness that is in this person's head. Okay? He had a 9/7 shirt, Celeste's birthday. And this right there, that video that you just saw, is a few days after her body was discovered. I think the next day. I believe this was the next day. Okay? Let that sink in for a minute. All right, let's continue with this interview.
flies circling the car. And he was on tour. And so it came out that, hey, there's been a body found in a car that's registered to David. They had no idea. Well, the public had no idea that it was Celeste. People in his Discord had a good idea who it was, though. And so he never came. He continued on with his tour. And it wasn't until they identified her as Celeste, who was a documented missing person out of Lake Elsinore, which is like 80 miles away from LA, that they finally called the tour off. But he just kept plugging away. He never made a comment about it. The only comment they made.
Yeah, he never made a comment. He kept on going, and that's what the DA was saying, that it was for financial gain. You know, and yeah, you guys are right. It gets worse and worse, and unfortunately, I think it's going to get even worse, more worse, as the case goes on, and when the evidence comes out. I mean, you've heard, and I was there when Beth Silverman, the DA, the prosecution, said we have 40 terabytes of data. We have 40 terabytes of data, and we have 8 terabytes on his iCloud alone. 8 terabytes on his iCloud alone.
was his press people said that they were cooperating with LAPD, which they never were, which we come to find out they never were. That was a lie. They just wanted to keep going. And it did keep going. And then when they did call it off, he's never made a comment, and he was never seen in public again. He was in West Hollywood, very close to.
Did he go back to the house that the manager had rented, or did he go somewhere else?
He never. So what happened was after she was identified, they served a search warrant. LAPD served a search warrant on the house the next day. I believe it was September 17th. And after that, his management contacted the owner and basically said they were breaking the lease. They were going to have the movers come the next day, which they did, and they came and they grabbed certain things, but they left a lot behind. And they basically then said, anything that's left behind, just do what you want with. We're out. And he's never seen again. Now we find out that he was in another rental house just a few miles away, 3 or 4 miles away.
Was that other rental house close to where so I guess like what a lot of people are kind of confused with, and I was hoping that you could kind of break down better for us, is so the car was reported to be a couple blocks away from his house.
Yeah, the home where he was arrested, it was close. It was close to the mansion. We did like a point A to B route out there live, and it's really close. I'm gonna go back there and kind of revisit. I like to revisit areas and visit areas critical and important to the case. You guys know me, boots on the ground, as I like to say, hiking boots on the ground. And it's really close. It's really close. A lot of the even the car. And early on in the case, I was like, everything's close to him, everything's convenient. And as soon as I saw the car close to his house, I was like, yeah. I was like in my head, I was like, yeah, he did it. I was like, yeah, and that's just my opinion, okay? Innocent until proven guilty. Let me play this.
That house. It was at the house that the owners that you work with had? Okay. So
whenever I say the house, I'm talking about my client's house, which is some people call the mansion or whatever. But it's the only house that we were aware of at the time that he was living in. Now there is a house before the lease started, which he did that famous live stream from, the delete everything, when Celeste in that one. And that was actually filmed.
So was that Celeste? So a lot of people say that was the other Celeste in that. So that live stream.
No, that live stream is definitely Celeste. 100%. Yes, the one, that infamous video of Celeste and David saying delete everything. Yes, that is Celeste Rivas. Absolutely. That's wild, man. That there's some people that think that, and I think that's the defense trying to maybe put doubt in people's mind, in the public, right? Well, that's not her. That's AI. I think some of the stuff that came out as AI, I think it was them. The defense, I think that was them, in my opinion. Like, but that is her, definitely. Let me I'll show you guys. Hold on. That video. Or actually, I'll play this and then I'll look for it as we're waiting, or as I'm looking for it.
That was Celeste in that live stream,
the one where she talks about R-ing kids, and he says delete everything. That's Celeste.
Do you know when that stream had happened?
Yeah, that was gosh, if I remember right, that was like January of 24. And that was right before she ran away the first time.
Okay,
might have the date off by a little bit. So, but so that's, and then right after that is when she starts running away. And she has these series of runaway events, and but it was no secret that she was with him. In fact, somebody close to.
That's controversial.
Okay, trigger warning.
It's controversial of raping kids.
Really good.
Okay,
it's been a good one. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my! Delete everything. Delete everything. Everything goes.
Yeah, and like, shout out to Reddit, man. Reddit was on fire with this case early on. They did not let it go. Shout out to Reddit, man, because they found the house. I remember I was doing a live stream with Hio, And we're like, where is this? Where's this? And we're like trying to look for it. And then boom, I think like a few days later, like Reddit found it. It was insane how fast they found it, or the next day, or there's something like that. It was wild, like how fast they found it. But this is David. He has a Hot Moms shirt on. I love Hot Moms. And then Celeste Rivas with a sweater. She has glasses on. Her iconic curly hair. She's got the hoodie on, glasses, and they're doing a live stream. There was a longer one, but David said to delete everything. And then there's messages between him and his Discord mods saying to delete the this video. And so somebody took a clip of this and was able to save it. So I'm wondering if like in court we'll see the full video. Once you delete things, it doesn't mean that it's deleted forever. But I'm wondering if like that's why they have so much evidence or data, is because of deleted messages, videos, and such. I'm wondering if like this whole video is going to be shown, or they have it.
I media trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of raping kids.
Really good.
Okay,
It's been a good one.
Bye, guys.
Mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my! Delete everything. Delete everything. Everything goes.
Yeah, he's like, delete everything. So that's the video SF Investigates was talking about here. So let me play this interview.
The situation, her family, the school where she was going, wrote his management company and said by email and said, there's something, paraphrasing it, there's a rumor that David might be involved in the disappearance of 13-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. If that's true, please make sure she gets home quickly. And she got home. She arrived the next day, and that email was received by his management company, and they did send it to him. I have proof of that, and he was aware of it. So then she arrives back home, but then she runs away again. And so listen, he was grooming her. He's a predator. And this is not the only girl that he was involved with. Those underage. When Celeste ran away on Valentine's Day, and she showed up in the area. Oh, this is the exact same day that they're actually taking possession of the new house that they rented, my client's house.
Yes, sir.
Of course, my client doesn't. My client thinks it's Josh Marshall, his manager, but they take possession of it. So on that day, he's got Celeste runs away that day, and she's at the old house, one where they did that live stream, delete everything, and he's got another minor at the new house, a mile and a half away. And I've got pictures of that. So that can be.
This is kind of all new about there being like a new minor. If you can reveal, how old was this other minor that David was dealing with?
She was 16 and 17.
She was 16.
This was going on for a while. I believe it goes back to when she was 16, 17 for sure. But he knew, she was underage, and listen, it's kind of the same MO. It's kind of the preying on those that he can manipulate out of their environment. And there's others. There's another one too. So I mean, and I guarantee that there's. I mean, I can't guarantee, but
no, I mean any predator, they're always gonna have multiple victims. Yes,
there's ones that I don't know about.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. I'm willing to bet. And when I was in court yesterday, when I happened to be looking right at David.
So this video right here, somebody asked what date it was. It was January 11, 2024. So January 11, 2024.
He was seated kind of in front of me, and they brought him in an orange jumpsuit, and they sat him down at the table with his lawyers, and they handcuffed him to the table. And
yeah, actually, SF Investigates was sitting right next to me in the courtroom. So he did see he was seeing exactly what I was seeing. So he's got a good perspective on that too. A good yeah, I mean we both saw him. I mean it was surreal seeing him. And it's interesting too, the translation between like your perspective, like my perspective, and like somebody else's perspective that was in the same room, right? Like the feeling, the the opinion, right, of what you're seeing. It's I like that. Like everybody has their own unique. Even though we're seeing the same thing, we all have a different perspective, like our own unique look at things of the world. So this is his perspective.
I didn't know what was coming out of the prosecutor. I happened to be looking at him because I was like, man, he looks so different. He does not look like, you know,
Hold on, let me slow it down a little bit just so I can hear him better.
David, you know, the artist. He looks he just doesn't look the same. And so I was looking at him, and then they were talking about when discovery, which is all the evidence and stuff, is going to be delivered to his lawyers, and
Yes, sir.
and the prosecutor comes out, and I don't know, I don't want to get you dinged off.
No. It's literally say like you can.
Oh,
You can
you can say that. Okay.
We
So
catch
she
child
comes out.
predators on this channel, so you could be
Okay.
straight up as possible.
So, you know, as far as so she comes out and says, you know, Your Honor, one of the biggest issues is that there on his phone there was a voluminous amount of child porn, and you know, like
You know what was yeah, I mean she came out with that and people were just like, "Whoa," you know, like you could tell like they didn't say that, but you could tell everybody was like, "Whoa," kind of looking at each other. Um and yeah, he comes out, he had the shackles on and he did have his hair done. I don't know how, but it did look like it was permed. It did look like it was uh better than what he was on the mugshot. Remember the mugshot? How his afro? He looked the hair looked different, and he looked like he just woke up or something. I don't know. He just looked like he was, like nonchalant. I mean, that's the best way to describe him when he was in the courtroom with the orange jumpsuit, and it was good to see him in the orange jumpsuit because, yeah, that's how you should be, right? So let me play this again.
the proper word now is CSAM, right? And but she went child porn, and then she goes, and because of this child porn, I mean, she said child porn 4 times in a row. It was very intentional. You had to let him know, we know, we know what's up. He didn't. He just stared straight ahead. He wasn't like he didn't turn to his lawyer and like, what the hell, you know.
Yeah, that's another thing too. When they did that, I was watching him. That one, he didn't have a reaction to it. He was just kind of looking forward. And then when the judge was speaking to him, or when he heard something that he agreed with, he would say, "Yeah, like okay, like that's fair," or something. You know, it's so hard to describe because I'm not in his mind, you know, so I don't know what he's thinking. But to me, I'm like, dude, like this is some serious stuff, man. Like you're facing, and he looked matter of fact. That's and nonchalant. Yeah, it's not going to be televised. It's not going to be live. One of the there was a guy like for media that was trying to fight for cameras inside the courtroom, and the judge denied it again, and she said no, due to the nature of the crime and minors, she just does not want cameras inside the courtroom.
He knew, like,
And I think look, I don't know if it was bring your kid to work day or something, but there was hey Julie, how you doing? But there were some kids in the seating area, like where you're hearing the like um some young people there. And I'm like, that's kind of odd. I don't know what that was about. I don't know if it was like bring your kid to work day or something, but I mean, it's a heavy topic, you know. The prosecution saying, you know, CP a few times. I don't know if you want to bring your kid to court that day. I don't know. It was odd. So I don't know what that was about.
I think he knows that they got him dead to rights right now. So, but she made it sound like there's a lot on there. So I don't think it's just Celeste. I don't think it's just Celeste and this other minor that I'm talking about. I think that there's going to be a lot that he actually was in communication with, and I think there's going to be probably a lot of that material that he sought out on the internet. You know.
Yes, sir. No. From what you know,
You know, the one thing that she did not mention throughout this case, and I thought maybe we were gonna. Hey, Cindy from sunny South Florida, how you doing? Is that I thought the prosecution was gonna bring up that he had gore images or videos in his iCloud account, but that was never brought up, and I thought that was an interesting, um, just something interesting like that. That was just not brought up.
Obviously, it came out that he had CSAM on his phone. It's come out that he's been talking to other minors. So back to the timeline. So I didn't know this. So it was January 2025 when that last shit happened, or 2024?
Well, she'd been gone well over a year.
So that's the 11th, January 11th, 2024, that video. It's hard to keep up, so I don't blame Steve for these dates. It's hard to keep up with all these dates, these back and forth dates.
When this was going down, so she had been. So she started that. I believe that live stream was 2024, January 2024. Then she starts. Then in February, is when and then there's Runaways, and then getting into around Valentine's Day, she runs away again, and then it's a year. It's well over a year that she's gone before we now know that this happened, according to prosecutors, in April of 2025. So she's gone a very long time, and that's been. The whole thing is piecing this together. Where exactly was she? Because we didn't really.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I don't know why I deleted that. Sorry. Yeah, I was muted. Sorry about that. What did you guys hear last? Oh, here we go. The dates. Look, the dates are for the runaway, April 2024. Or I'm sorry, let me go back. So January 2024, February 15th was the first reported missing case. But in January, as we can see, she was with David in that video, January 11th, 2024. But then in February of 15, she was reported missing. So it's speculated and it's alleged that she was with David on February 14, 2024. And then on April 24th, there was a final official runaway report. April 5th, she was reported missing again. And at this point, she's 13 years old. And so, I asked around and I was like, man, when is the last known contact she had with friends and family? And as we've heard, April 23rd, 2025, that is when the DAA is presenting their evidence that she was never heard from again. So that's very interesting too, the timeline of that. And I'm sure obviously we're gonna hear more about it. I'm very, very interested in the timeline, and I hope they do put a timeline together as we've seen with other cases where they say, look, on this date this happened, on that date that happened, on this date they came back, on this date they were missing. And so that's going to be huge because it's going to be an official timeline. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Let's see. Hey, Cindy, Lean, how you doing? Yeah, I was just I was on mute. Sorry about that, guys. Let me play this again.
Really have evidence that We had evidence that she had been to the house, but not that she was like living at the house. And David would travel a lot for concerts or whatever, and nobody would stay there. So we're like, where was she in all this time? And then we find out that she wasn't truly a runaway. That's the part that's upsetting to me too, is that her family knew where she was, and she'd shown up for like her cousin's high school graduation. She showed up at a family event. There's a video out there of her arguing with the next door neighbors in the apartment complex next to her house.
Okay, I get what he's saying here. The thing is that if she's running back and if she's running away back and forth, it doesn't mean that they know where she's at. It just means that she's back for the graduation. She might be home for a few weeks, and then she's running away the next month. Do you see what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's what are you gonna do? Are you gonna just take the door off, shackle her, to her bed or something? I mean, it's just, uh, uh, it sounded like David had a really grasp on her, a hold on her, control. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the family knew where she was at those point in times, but yeah, I mean, again, we're gonna have to see. I want to see. I don't want to pass judgment on the family because, um, I mean, they're already going through a hard time as it is. So I want to see some more evidence that comes out. That comes out during the court. But I don't know. I just kind of wanted to mention that.
Well, she's supposedly a missing person. And so it's all very frustrating. There's a lot of things, a lot of failures around her. And I understand, listen, she's probably a handful. I get that. But the thing is, she's a kid. And that's part of being a parent, and family and a support system. And, I think she needed direction, she needed like a direction in life. And it's not okay. They knew who he was. And it's just, I don't care how rich he is. I don't care how famous he's becoming. I don't care he's living in a mansion and he can afford to support her. It's not okay. She's 13, 14 years old at this time. It's never okay, so it's, I think people in these prominent positions sometimes get these free passes, and it's just not right.
So, in your personal opinion, because what I found interesting about this case is you would think a lot of people close to him would be coming out saying things like, hey, this was weird and stuff like that. But you really haven't been seeing that. The prosecutors are saying that they've gotten people to.
That's true. That is true. We didn't hear. Hey, Miss Dizzle, how you doing? We didn't hear much about what was going on, and maybe I don't know. Maybe they were afraid, or maybe they were just having his back. I don't know, but that's yeah. We didn't have that in this case where people were coming out and like Asia and Neo, they weren't coming out and saying this, that, and the other. They were staying very quiet. Everybody was staying quiet. Everybody.
Corroborate. They said they had some people that are more difficult. Do you personally think, or do you know, like, actually, that people knew her age and just didn't say anything about it?
100%. Listen, in that Discord of his, there's people that openly talk about it. They're like, hey, are you still going out with the underage girl? Are you still there talking about Epstein Island? Are you and Celeste going to Epstein Island? Like, it's crazy how open it was. Not a secret, and the people close to him in his orbit, listen, they knew. I mean, there's live streams where not just the one with Celeste, but there's ones where he's talking to these two super young girls on like, I don't know what platform it was, but he's talking to them, and his friend Asia Collins is behind him, and he's laughing about the age of these girls, and he's gooning, and it's just, it's really frustrating because they have not, like, they didn't race forward with information. They waited to the last minute to save themselves. Like, all of a sudden, we find out one of his friend Neo has to be arrested to be brought in front of the grand jury. That's not how it should be. Like you shouldn't be. I don't care how close you were with this guy. If you got information, we're talking about a child. I mean,
That's true, and not only that, but just the dismemberment. You know, the whole act, the whole just monstrosity of it. It should have woken them up, and they should have said like, "Whoa, this guy's a monster. This guy's did this, that, and the other to Celeste Rivas. I'm gonna talk to my lawyer, and we're gonna figure this out because I had nothing to do with it. I didn't know anything, right? But no, instead they just stayed quiet. They didn't care from what I'm seeing until they were forced to testify. It's just wild, man. But um, I don't know. I don't know. It's just maybe the process could have been faster if Asia and Neo. I mean, I don't know. That's the extent, right? What to what extent what did they know and when did they know it, right?
evidence that he met her, was interacting with her in like a creepy way when she was 12 years old. I mean, it's just not right, and I don't know what's going to take to stop all this. I just see it in so many cases. I only do missing persons, and so many out of the CPS system, and people that they're not, they're like forgotten about.
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like law enforcement's not pursuing these
Celeste
cases.
wouldn't be having. Celeste probably wouldn't if the circumstances were the exact same. Just David wasn't famous.
We wouldn't know about this case.
We wouldn't know anything about it.
We wouldn't know about this case.
And
they'd be like, oh, as far as anybody in the public following, they'd be like, oh, she was probably some undocumented, it just to get passed over. It's really sad, and I see it all the time. And the CPS system, these kids that they're open to being lured away because they're in such horrible situations, like in a foster.
So here's a video of what SF Investigate was saying, where somebody asks if David is still with that minor. Let me share my screen with you guys. Here it is right here.
Ryan, is it Whitaker?
Is it fucking Farm Boy? I'll beat the shit out of
Freak out.
Are you still dating that minor?
Ryan, is it Whitaker?
Is it fucking Farm Boy? I'll beat the shit out of
Freak out.
Are you still dating that minor?
Not wild. David, producer, asked him, "Are you still dating that minor?" Wow.
Family they're with, where they're being abused and stuff like that, they're like, going with a trafficker is almost a better situation for them, and it's like, we can't this can't be the system. And then when something like this happens, if there's not
Cindy's asking, is it possible his friends didn't know why Celeste disappeared and didn't know what he actually did and to her and her body until she was found? Yeah, it could be. It could be. To be fair, to give everybody a fair shake. Yeah, it could be possible.
Not a celebrity or not a wealthy.
But then there was that text messenger between Asia and I think one of the family members that said that she was missing. So there's that. Let me see if I can bring it up.
Person on the other side of it, where everybody wants to watch the trial, they're just like, you don't even know these are going on, and these are going on, these cases are happening, and you don't even know it. There's a lot of these cases, they just don't have a David attached to them. When it's two unknown people, they're just like, well, they kind of brought it on themselves. Which you can't have it both ways. You can't say, hey, they're not old enough to consent, and then say, well, they kind of they did it more than once, so they kind of. I'm so sick of that excuse. I mean, I've got cases like the pin. There's a case on my Twitter. It's the pin story, and this case is really important to me because this 14-year-old girl was getting.
So here's an interaction between Asia and somebody else that. So they posted this February 16th, 2024. Okay. It says, bro, this is my friend's girlfriend. says Asia. Is there a way you can confirm, says the other person, she's 13. Asia says, what the fuck? You're lying. So there's this right here. There's this right here. There is this right here. Let me play this again. And that again was February 16, 2024. Again, when she ran away on the 15th, allegedly she was with David on the 14th of February.
Had these, she was a runaway. She because she had some issues going on, right? But nobody was helping her through those, and said that she was just running away. And then these guys were filming her, making her film stuff, and they were selling it on Instagram. And we got a mountain of this stuff, and we met with the FBI, and the FBI agents sat down with us, and for days we would go to the FBI office every day, and we'd go through it, and they were like, we're going to get these guys. And then we presented to the DA, and they're just like, oh, she did it more than a couple times. So we're like, okay, but she's 13, just turned 14. These guys are 26. Yeah, but she did seem like she was willing.
Mr. Fisher,
Because
genuinely, same thing. We've had cases where we had a dude come to meet a 13 and 11-year-old girl. He said that he was gonna put it in the 13-year-old girls, the 11-year-olds behind. Admitted to everything to the cops. He got arrested.
Jeez, man. Trigger warning, guys. I'm sorry about that. Sorry. Trigger warning. I haven't seen this video or this interview, so we're watching it at the same time. So I do apologize for that. Again, trigger warning.
He went to he got arrested that day, charged. The DA the next weekend, they dropped all the charges, and we had to bully them. And it's like, and kind of like when I saw that the LAPD arrested him to force the district attorney to finally officially press charges, it's like I understood why they did that, because I deal with DAs all the time, and it's like even sometimes when it's given to them on a silver platter and you have the silverware and everything, they're gonna be like, we can't take it unless we get a beverage with it, and it's just it's absolutely disgusting. One thing I do want to ask, so you posted something that I think that is great on your feed where you showed a timeline that you believe what happened, because the prosecutors said, correct me if I'm mistaken, they believe that the murder happened April 23rd, 2025, right?
Yep. Correct.
So, and see, that's what I was saying too about SF we did see the last known public image of Celeste Rivas was January of 2025, and it was speculated that maybe she was killed on that month and dismembered, put into a freezer, and then that's when she was found in the car. But I was always mentioning, like, we don't know what law enforcement has. That's the other thing too, because it's a long way from January to September. And so I said maybe they have more, and I was thinking more maybe towards mid-spring, or even closer to the date of the where they towed the car. I mean, as early as like August, I even thought, because the level of decomposition that it happened, I was like, maybe, but then they were saying a few months before, so April, spring, it made more sense. So there was those three theories, and we just don't know. We just don't know, and it could fit any which way. And it's good when we have that information now, that it's like, okay, we could dispel the other theories, and then we can, based upon what the DA is saying, based upon what law enforcement is saying, we can better fit the timeline together. And it's okay. Obviously, we went through millions of theories to keep the conversation going, the awareness. And I think that's good, because we don't have much, and anything and everything would fit, because that bridge is so long that we are forced to fill in the gaps. And until, court happens or more information comes out from official sources. So April 23rd, 2025 is the alleged date that she was unalived. And I think he did it right in the house. I think he did it right in the house, because everything to him is convenience. Okay? He's just, to me, he's not going to go out of the way to do something and have the car just sitting there. I think he was just going to come back. he would have been back from his tour. That tour that you saw that he had that 9/7 shirt. He would have been back from that tour to LA, and I think that's what he was going to do, and he just put it off. He was nonchalant about it. These guys' brain doesn't work like us, so when he does this, it's something like it's not a big deal for him. He's on tour. He got rid of the problem, so he's good now. He'll worry about that later when he comes back. They don't think like we do, and so that's why the why is so elusive, because we're never going to understand why some people do the things that they do, and it's because of that. Let me play this again.
If you can tell me and my audience, can you explain to us why they think that was the day she was murdered, and can you explain the timeline of from that day until September 8th when her body was found? Like, do you think that he left her in the Tesla the whole time? Do you think her body was stored somewhere else and he just kept on moving the car? Why do you think he didn't try to dispose of the body? If you can, could you give us that whole timeline and everything? Because I think that was like the best thing anyone's ever put out. Whereas,
and see, to that, before SF answers that, I think, look, this dude was busy, super busy, and maybe people didn't know about the unaliving. And he had, I mean, if you look at his schedule, if you look at the tour, if you look at, his release album, I mean, this dude is super busy. I just don't know why he would have left her there, or, if nobody else knew that maybe he wanted somebody else to move it and then they, chickened out or whatnot. I mean, that's another possibility too, but I think I don't think the person that moved the car, in my opinion, I don't think they knew that Celeste Rivas was in the car, and I don't think they were part of the plan. And I think David was just gonna move the car around until he got back from his tour, which he would have toured in LA, and then disposed of her however he could.
it's like something we could visually see.
Yeah, and a lot of this I'm just never going to understand, right? Even like what was going on in his mind. But April 23rd is the day, and the prosecutors, there's two dates that they put out there. April 23rd, they believe, is the day she was lured to the house, and then some point shortly after killed with a sharp object, they're saying. And then May 8th, May 5th, I think it's either the 5th or they have to look at the timeline, to be honest with you, is when they're saying she was dismembered. So you got this.
Yeah, see, that right there is going to be interesting because they have specific dates, right? The April 23rd, and then the May, what was it, May 5th or 8th? He's getting me confused, but it's within those dates, right? It's going to be interesting what they have and what they're correlating, or what they're bringing up that says, look, on this date she was lured, she was unalive, and then in May, the following month, is when she was dismembered. So what evidence do they have? I mean, I hate to say this, but do they have video? I mean, was this some sick thing that he did on video or pictures? I don't know, man. That's gonna be hard to stomach, and to go on like that and go on your tour, and the only thing that you're concerned about, David, is whether you're gonna have a hamburger or a burrito, all while Celeste Rivas was in the front trunk of your car. Let me play this again.
You got this gap in time where did he store her? Because you're going on a week and a half, and that's the point of building that timeline. The timeline only focuses on this time period between the April 23rd and May, when he dismembers her. And what we're trying to do is just find out what his movement was, for one, in that time period, and also kind of what his mental state, at least public facing, was. And we've started to compile. Then we learned, well, April 23rd is when they announced Wither Tour is happening. He'd just gotten done with Coachella a couple days earlier. He's at Coachella, and then they announced the Wither Tour the Withered album is dropping. And so on the 24th, they have a.
Okay, again, this is what I said. If and when the report was going to come out of his arrest, we're going to go back and see what his demeanor was. Okay, I've always said that we're going to look back and say, and ask ourselves what was going on, right? What were you doing? And then this is what he was doing. April 23rd, when we're going to go back in time just for a second, and we're going to look at his TikTok. April 23rd. Let's see. This is April 23rd right here. Let me show you guys. Let me show you. Share my screen. Here's the screen right here. On his TikTok right here. So this is on the 24th. And he says, my album drops tomorrow. Okay. And then hold on a second. Let me see. Whoops, hold on. Let me go back to it. Give me 1 second. And this is his official Twitter account. I mean, this is all official. I mean, I went through hours and hours of this video of his TikTok. There we go. So it's interesting to see like what he was doing after the fact. And I think we're going to see this more. I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Like what you were doing, just because everybody's on social media, we're all on, on X, on here posting. I think you're going to start to see that more. Where is it? Hold on. Oh, look, this was on the 4th, 2020, or February the 10th, February 11th, and this was on the 13th, and this is Valentine's Day right here, 2025. Let me go back to the, what do we say? January, February, March, April, or April, right? April. Here we go. Oh yeah, here we go. Right here. So this is on the date that allegedly he unalived Celeste, and waited line and wait. So this is him, and then this is the 24th as well. This is the next day. My album is out. Ho LFG. He's got that cross on his finger. On his hand, on his palm. This is on the 25th. I mean, without even skipping a beat. Look at this. I mean, he looks so happy here, right? For the sake of the story. He looks happy. I'm not saying I agree with it. And then his album drops. That's the alleged date that he was lying in wait. And this looks like it's during the day because you can see the shadows. And then this is during the night. I mean, the next day. During the night. And without skipping a beat, Look at that. Smiling. The 25th. What's your favorite song? That's what he's doing. Look. What is your favorite song? And look, he's with his little sister. Look at that. 2 days after he murders, allegedly, Celeste Rivas. You're hanging out with your little sister. I mean, it's unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. And then he's touring back again. Look, see? The vocals, emotion. See? Smiling. The 30th. Oh, yeah. It's unreal, man. It's unreal. All right, let me play this. Oh, man. I accidentally closed down that. Give me a second, guys. Hold on. Let's see. I actually closed down the interview.
Directly across the street, and this is a neighborhood with very large. If you just Google, David, home, where did he store her? Because you're going on a week and a half.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? Where do you store her? I mean, the freezer idea doesn't seem too far fetched, but again, we don't know. We don't know until more evidence comes out, and you better believe they're going to come out with some evidence. I mean, 40 terabytes. Jeez, man.
And that's the point of building that timeline. The timeline only focuses on this time period between the April 23rd and in May when he dismembers her. And what we're trying to do is just find out what his movement was, for one, in that time period, and also kind of what his mental state, at least public facing, was. And we've started to compile. Then we learned, well, April 23rd is when they announced Wither Tour is happening. He had just gotten done with Coachella a couple days earlier. He's at Coachella, and then they announced the Wither Tour the Withered album is dropping. And so on the 24th, they have so we're talking just hours after he would have killed her, they have a album release party here in LA. On the 25th, he heads out to New York for a 3-day band lab pop-up in New York City. And then he goes to Houston, to his hometown in Houston.
Wait, he's from Houston?
He's from Houston, yeah.
Wow, I'm from Houston. I'm here, right? I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah, no, he's from a town, and it'll come to me in a minute. Just outside of Houston. So he comes to flies to Houston.
Sugarland, Pearland.
I'll have to look it up.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have to worry.
Yeah,
I'll find
if you.
So this is the email that Josh received, one of David's managers, and this was on February 19th, 2024. So the family was trying to look for her. The family was trying to see what was going on, and they did contact law enforcement. And it says there's been talk to the artist David possibly has. There's been talk that the artist David possibly has something to do with the disappearance of 13-year-old Celeste Rivas. If that statement holds any merit, please do the right thing and take her home. Her parents are very worried. And this was on February 19th, 2024. I mean, like, what is going on, man? Let's see. Let me play this again.
If you just Google, David, hometown Houston, it'll say, because he owns a couple houses there actually, and his family lives there. So they, so then he goes to Houston for a couple of days, and so he's moving on. Like I'm talking, he has if prosecutors are correct about the 23rd being the day, and I believe they are because there's somebody that obviously gave them the information.
Give me a second, guys. Let me use the restroom real quick. 1 second, okay? All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. Let me play this because I haven't heard this, so I want to be able to hear this too.
And within hours, he's fine. He's in a mindset where he's like, I'm ready to go to the party. I'm ready to go to New York. It's not affecting him. Now we do see it's kind of like this, almost like an adrenaline rush. There's all these posts, and he's playing these shows and these pop-ups, but then there's like this crash. He goes somewhat a lot more silent, after the dismemberment. And he goes to Seoul, Korea for pop-up, and he's in Malaysia. It's really wild to see that. So yeah, so to get back to your point, so there's the murder and the dismemberment, and that. So our big questions are: where did he murder her? Where did he then store her for those 10 days or so until he dismembered her? 10 days or more until he dismembered her, and then why does she end up in the Tesla, and why does she stay in the Tesla in his neighborhood? So when I started interviewing with, before we knew all these data points, I was interviewing obviously neighbors asking for video surveillance and whatnot, and the people right across the street, directly across the street, and this is a neighborhood with very large houses and big yards and security systems and everything like that. And I was over at the house directly across the street, which is owned by a producer, and I was dealing with his estate manager, and she said, we one of the dogs. So the property, it's a big property, and their fence line butts up to the road and then the house David was saying is, they right there. So David would often mostly time park the Tesla on their property line, off to the side of the road. So it butted up to their yard. And she said, we started getting this horrible smell. And we had, one of the dogs had died. And they had buried the dog in the backyard, and it was like a husky, it was a larger dog. And she's like, anytime it would get over to be like 75, 76, 77 degrees, the backyard would smell horrible. She's like, so we thought we didn't bury the dog deep enough. So they were getting ready to unearth this dog and bury it deeper. And then all this happened, and the Tesla went away, and then everything was fine. But,
so
that
when
dog
the Tesla got moved, did that smell go away, and was the dog
Yes.
still buried?
And, yes, and they're not thinking like, oh, the Tesla just went away and now it doesn't smell. They don't know, they're like, why it comes and goes. And it's not until after they find out, oh, there's a body in the trunk of the Tesla. It's like, oh my God, the Tesla was, they have it on surveillance, of the Tesla coming and going. So at times, so it's like,
Oh, that's interesting. You just said that they have the Tesla coming and going at different times. That's going to be interesting. You better believe the DA has that. Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see those videos of the Tesla coming and going.
and so if they smell it, then he really can smell it, especially at the house, because it's like a multi-story house. And there's live streams that he does where a makeup artist is like, oh, what's the smell, and they just kind of like,
when was these live streams like dated around?
he live streamed from the house a lot, and so it was just like him and his friends, and they're filming something or whatever. There's a makeup
And
artist.
this is the same house that.
Same house.
So there was
But the
streams
Tesla's
where the
parked out
makeup
front.
artist would complain about a smell from the house.
Yeah, and so what it is most likely is it's coming from the Tesla and just going up through the windows up at the third floor, and they're up in the master bedroom's bathroom when this happens, and he blames it. Oh, I went to the bathroom, but it's just the whole thing is so wild. Like the only thing I can't come up. If you dismember somebody, I know you never have. I'm just saying, but if somebody dismembers somebody, you think they go ahead and just get rid of them, right? Like if they didn't do it at the house, if they did it somewhere, and I think they did do it somewhere else, I think he had to have refrigerated her.
Well,
somewhere.
you said they. So do you think David had help?
I think he had help.
Let me ask you guys a question. Two questions. Where do you think she was stored? Was she in the Tesla the whole time, or was she in frozen? That's the one question. And the other question is, do you think that David had help? I want to hear you guys' answers in the chat.
I think he had help. I don't think he can do it by himself. I'm not saying in the murder itself, but I do think in the dismemberment, or at least the moving around, I think he had help. So, and I think people are going to fall for that. I think there's going to be other people that go down. But I don't know why he didn't just get rid of the body. And that'll always be, I don't think he'll ever say why he didn't. I don't think it'll ever come to that. But I think that the only thing I can think of was a trophy of sorts for him. And because listen, it's not that hard to go you can drive 5 miles from the house and you'd be on Pacific Coast Highway and just let that Tesla go off into the ocean, off a cliff, or have somebody steal it and get rid of it, whatever. They have it gone forever. He kept it in the neighborhood. He was moving it around, starting in May when he dismembered her. People had reported to us that they noticed that it started being parked in different locations starting in May. And he's keeping it close by, and then he goes on tour and just leaves it there. Like, I don't know what he was thinking. Like, there's got to be some sort of, there's got to be.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that he had help in the chat. Divine says definitely had help, 100%. Might have been his buddy Chase.
Some sort of trophy thing, because there's plenty of opportunities to get rid of that car.
So would it be in a Tesla? Like what I'm thinking.
Oh, people are saying trophy too. Oh wow. For sure, he had help. He had to have unalive her and dismembered her in a remote desert area because that's extremely messy. Would not be surprised if her parts were in a freezer.
They can do is they could probably. I don't know if you know this information, but was the Tesla dead when it got towed to the tow yard?
Yeah, so I don't know for certain. I think it was though, and it appeared that Sentry mode was probably turned off because it doesn't appear that they got any meaningful data from the car itself as far as the cameras or anything like that. Because otherwise, it would have been an immediate arrest. I do think because of the length of time, the car was most likely probably bricked, but I can't say for sure. I don't think that there was a key with it. I think they had a force entry, and I don't know. I actually it was going up for auction. He had never picked it up. LAPD processed it. They only kept it 2 days. They put it back in the impound yard, and I was watching it, and it was racking up daily fees, and then it had gotten to be like 3 months, and they finally put it up for auction, and it was supposed to go to auction at like 8:30 in the morning, and a month or two, about 6 weeks ago or something, and I was going to go inspect it because they'd open inspection, and then at like 10 o'clock at night, it switched where somebody had come and with a power of attorney signed by him and a cashier's check and paid to get it out, and then they went to DMV immediately and put it into somebody else's name.
So wait, somebody from his team bought the car?
I don't know I don't know if it's his team. It's obviously somebody he knows in some way, or his lawyers do, or his management does, because he gave him a signed power of attorney in order to get it out of the impound yard, paid for it, and then they took it. And then I ran across it about 2 weeks ago. I ran across it outside of a Tesla body shop in South LA.
Okay, so I did track this down, the Tesla, with the help of one of my sources, and here it is right here. Let's see. Let me see. Oh, actually, it's on my Discord. Oh, maybe it's not. Hold on a second, guys. Actually, I'll bring it up in a minute. Let me play this. Yeah, it's at a body shop in LA. The Tesla where Celeste Rivas was found.
And it's sitting out there. It's been washed, but it's I don't know what's going on. The whole thing's so weird and creepy. I don't get it.
Oh my gosh, man! Like I think that's where a lot of the people are. Like, because I was talking to a dude yesterday where he thinks David was framed, and his whole thing was, how could David be that stupid to leave the body in the car when the car is to his name and everything? But it's like the dude, something Wayne, the clown killer, when he would kill people, he would put them right underneath his house, and or Jeffrey Dahmer, he would put people right in his fridge, and so it's just like when people kill people, you can't ration, because I hit him with that same logic. What rational man who's a multimillionaire can have almost any girl he wants of age would go after a little girl? And he couldn't
exactly. It's like it's just not enough for them, I guess, in their sick, twisted, mindset. And listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. As an investigator, I'm very much an Occam's razor type of guy. I'm like the simplest explanation usually is the way these things go. But I'll tell you, it's hard to get around the fact that his lyrics and everything. I can understand a couple songs, like okay, like these are things you sing about, their, whatever. It seems very, very like this was his world. This, like, his lyrics talking about, like the dismember, listen, I have text messages he sent to the girls of dismembered, anime stuff, but it's dismemberment.
Okay, so here's the car, and this is a recent picture, very recent picture of the Tesla. Let me see when I took this picture. Hold on. But this is it right here. I got a shot of it, the front, and there's like a lot of damage to it, the front and the back too. You see the back? Here's the back right there. Look, a lot of damage. But this is the actual Tesla right here that David used to own. It went up for auction, and right before that, the auction went, somebody came and bought it. So I'm just checking to see what the date of this was, because this was very recent. This was April 10th. So this was April 10th, 15 days ago. And what I noticed was the front of the Tesla, it looked a little uneven, like kind of propped open on the front. And then there was more damage on the front right of it too. You know, I'm always wondering what happened.
I media trained you.
Hold on. Let me go back to this.
Images of, I'm not in the anime world, so if I say the terms wrong or whatever, forgive me. But it was these anime characters with their arms pulled off, and you could see they would show the dismembered arm, like detached. It's just crazy sick stuff. And this is before this all happened, obviously. But now looking back, you're going, wow, this is to consume this guy. This was his thing. This was his kink or whatever. This guy had. Man, he had everything. If he went to I don't he was a young guy. Listen, he's talented. You can't say he's not a talented singer, right?
We aren't sure when the damage to the car was. We're not sure when or how this damage appears, because this damage too was in the report when it got towed from the Hollywood Hills. I was always saying that maybe Celeste was upset and then started punching and kicking the car, because he didn't report. I had the report too of the Tesla, and there was no report of this Tesla being stolen at any point, and there was no report of damages to the Tesla. January was what on Twitter? What did he say about the damage? I'll have to check that out if that's what you're saying, because I haven't heard anything about that, and I'm trying to catch up with it all. So if that's what it is, then I can check it out. But let's see, play this again.
World and he just overwhelmed them somehow. This became more important. I don't understand what it was he was trying to get out of life or whatever. This is what the kind of people never get a shot like this, right? People that have that kind of talent, so many of them are just never even know they're out there because they never get the shot. And this guy gets the shot, and what does he do? He takes the life of a little girl who didn't get to take her shot yet. You know what I mean? And never will get to. And who knows what she could have been? Who cares if she was anything? She became anything, but she's a human being. And he treated her like he owned her, like she was his. And then when he wasn't happy with whatever, or he felt that she was going to harm his career, he didn't just kill her, but he cut her apart.
The thing that is so weird to me is that, so the prosecutors are saying, can you explain to us why they charged him with killing a witness? So are they saying that she was a witness because she was wanting to come forward? Or was there already an ongoing investigation before that she was a part of, and with her being killed, they could charge him with that?
So it's kind of both. She can be her own a witness to a crime against her, and now she's not here to be able to do that, to be given that opportunity. So it's killing a witness. However, several months ago, when they did that live stream with Celeste, that delete everything, we knew that it was at this other house, which is also on the same street. It's called Doheny, but it's in a different part of Doheny. It's by coincidence on the same street. So that house where that happened, I actually, that's under the jurisdiction of the West Hollywood Sheriff's Department. And so I went to West Hollywood Sheriff and I said, hey, can I get any investigative files that have to do with a runaway or harboring or any type of event at that house for the time periods of 2023 to 2025. And they came back and said, we do have investigative files for a minor that involves a minor, but they're under seal because of an ongoing investigation, and you need to contact the Riverside County Sheriff's Department detective unit for more details, because they're the investigative lead on it. Now, that's the agency out in Lake Elsinore. So that's the agency. And we had heard that they had actually picked her up once out there at that house. So I do think, and I'm positive that they interviewed David. They talked to David, and they didn't do anything about it, but they talked to him. But I do think that there was some sort of investigation going on.
And this is before she was murdered.
This is before she was murdered. And so that was ongoing. And then all of a sudden this happens. Now, it doesn't mean that there was this, they were going, listen, she ran away again. She was in his company a lot of the time. So they weren't investigating.
That's so wild that cops talked to him and nothing happened. It's so wild.
investigating it thoroughly, but the fact is there was an open investigation. So she was a witness to that, and I'm sure they'd gotten a statement from her like, "Hey, what were you doing there? Why were you with? How'd you meet him? Whatever." So she's a witness. So he killed a witness, and it doesn't mean that there was charges filed yet, but she was a witness in an investigation. So, and not only that, but she can also be a witness. She's now no longer able to be a witness into the investigation into what's happening now because he killed her.
So, with that continuous sexual abuse charge that he got, is that only for Celeste, or would they also be doing that for the minors that you're in contact with that he was talking to?
We don't know. I can say that I'm pretty confident it does not involve the minor that I'm in talks with, just because I know what her communication with law enforcement has been and the DA's office, and it's been very, very minimal. So if they were going to charge him with her, I think there would be more communication like, okay, are you sure you're willing to testify, or should we do this by written statement or whatever it may be? And so I can't answer your question. I have a feeling it's just going to be for Celeste for now, but I don't know. Like, listen, there's two things that I think are important. It's all important what came out at the hearing the other day, but two things to really keep an eye on is, one, the wiretap. Because although states can do wiretaps, it's usually a federal thing because it's people talking across state lines, and that includes images being sent and whatnot, and then also the CCM material. Usually the feds get involved in that, so I would not be surprised to all of a sudden see a federal charges come down on him too in short term.
So what?
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because wiretaps, I'm like, that's wild, right? If you're saying that that's federal, I mean, could it be that the feds are doing an investigation into a PDF ring? Maybe David is part of a larger ring. I'm wondering if that's going to be something that it's, I'm wondering if that's something that's going on right now.
What would the federal charge be that they could get him on?
It's, like child pornography, possession of child, because they didn't charge him with like possession of child pornography, and distribution and stuff like that. And those would be just a stack on top.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't hold the once again, the longest sentence obviously will be the death penalty eligible case of murder, but it needs to be done because we need to make it known that this just can't happen. I mean, it's crazy that this is still, these guys are still going after these kids. These are kids. Let them live their life. Let them go and play with other 13-year-olds and do stupid kid shit that makes you what you are. Like, you know what I mean? They should not be making adult decisions of like, am I going to be going over and having sex with him tonight? Am I going to be going to a party, to a record release party? No, go play on the swings and shit. Like, let them do. We just can't like. We need to clobber these guys. And it happens to.
And the thing too is that, the federal government was saying that the 764 group, this like notorious group that does like online chaos, to put it lightly, they were saying that the FBI has deemed them homegrown terrorist, a terrorist organization. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it too. I think it does. In my opinion, I do think that David was part of the 764 group, and I think that's how he got started in all this. I really do think that.
The boys too. I mean, these predators. We need to eliminate. That's what we need to do. And and I just saw something go by too. I can't really read it as fast, but something about the parents. Listen, I agree. The parents need to be held accountable.
I was just about to ask that because, like, one thing about the parents is, usually they don't always have to say something. You know what I mean? The family has to grieve, but I feel like this is one of those cases where the only like statement I know that's out there is that the mother just said that she had a boyfriend named David. That's like the only statement from the family that I've ever heard that is verified from them. So my question was going to be like, do you think the family is as quiet as they are because they knew who David was and they knew who she was going to, and you don't really see too much of an intervention between them?
Yep. I mean, yes. I have proof that family members have been to that rental house before. I've been with David and Celeste.
Wait, her family has been to his house?
Family members. Like, listen, one of the first...
Wait, what? He has proof of that? Really? You know anything about that, Stars? He says he has proof. Hold on, let me go back. Or is he just talking about the what is it? The gift certificate. Remember the certificate of that teddy bear program from Six Flags? I wonder if that's what he's talking about. Let me go back a little bit. I want to hear that again.
After these kids, these are kids. Let them live their life. Let them go and play with other 13-year-olds and do stupid kid shit that makes you what you are. Like, you know what I mean? They should not be making adult decisions of like, am I going to be going over and having sex with them tonight? Am I going to be going to a party, to a record release party? No, go play on the swings and shit. Like, let them do. I mean, we just can't like. We need to clobber these guys, and these. It happens to the boys too. I mean, these predators. We need to eliminate. That's what we need to do, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just saw something go by too. I can't really read it as fast, but something about the parents. Listen, I agree. The parents need to be held accountable.
I was just about to ask that because, like, one thing about the parents is, usually they don't always have to say something. You know what I mean? The family has to grieve, but I feel like this is one of those cases where the only like statement I know that's out there is that the mother just said that she had a boyfriend named David. That's like the only statement from the family that I've ever heard that is verified from them. So my question was gonna be like, do you think the family is as quiet as they are because they knew who David was and they knew who she was going to, and you don't really see too much of an intervention between them?
Yep. I mean, yes. I have proof that family members have been to that rental house before. I've been with David and Celeste.
Wait, her family has been to his house?
Family members. Like listen, one of the first things I put down in this case was a build. We know that David and Celeste were at Six Flags on a certain date, and we found a Build-A-Bear certificate from the Build-A-Bear place in Six Flags in her cousin's name at the house. And so it's like, wait a minute. So she wasn't really missing. You want to know, in my opinion, what the missing persons report was about? It was to cover their ass so CPS didn't come in and say, hey, she's not going to school. What's up? If she's a missing person, you say she's not going to the school because she's a missing person. Then you don't have CPS in your life at that moment. And I sympathize. I guarantee. I know that they are. I know that they're grieving. I know they lost a daughter, but goddamn, like you could. She shouldn't have been allowed to be. She was gone a year and a half, man. A year and a half. Like somebody should have said, maybe we shouldn't be letting Celeste live her own life like this. I don't care how much money he has, how famous he has. Maybe in some cultures they don't think that's that huge of an age gap. I don't.
Well, that's interesting. So I think maybe that's what he was referring to. I thought maybe he had like pictures or video of like the parents being there. I mean, that's what it almost started to sound like. I'm like, whoa. But the just because you have a certificate within your name that's on there doesn't mean that you were there. I mean, the prosecution could say that that's just he had it and then he put it there. You don't have to be physically there to have that gift certificate there, that Build-A-Bear one. That's just another side of it, another side of that of what could have been with that Build-A-Bear certificate being at his home. But on the other side of that too is she could have been in there too, to be fair.
Care that these are the laws that you've agreed to live under, and she's 14. She was not 15 like it says on her death certificate. She turned 15 the day before she was found in the Tesla. She'd been in that Tesla a long time. She was 13 and 14 years old when this was happening, and she should have been in school. She should have been, playing video games with her friends and being a listen.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just the parents are already going through a hard time as it is, so I can't imagine what they're going through. So, I mean, if there's evidence later on that says that, they had a full-on relationship with David, their parents, even David's parents with Celeste Rivas' parents, and when we get there, we could say. But right now, I don't know. I'm just not willing to say that. I don't feel it that should be something that, I don't know. I just feel bad for the parents. Like the parents are already going through enough, and to blame the parents or to, I don't know. You know, that reminds me, like the parent. There's this uh, show like about missing runaway kids, and the head of the show, the head of the department of that law enforcement agency, the the lady, her daughter, is a runaway herself. So it could happen to anybody, and it happened to her. And she said she, she's embarrassed, and it looks bad because she's the head group of, this missing and just runaway kids, and then her own kid runs away. So there it is. But yeah, we all have our opinions, and you guys are entitled to it.
She'd only been a teenager for less than a year. I mean, think about that. I mean, it was her first year when this started happening. Her first year being a teenager. This isn't a girl that was, about to turn 18.
So could you see
there needs to be accountability?
What would the charge? Could you see potential charges being pressed on the parents, or do you think that for press reasons and?
Yeah, I think it's too high profile of a case, right? So they're going to say, oh shit, if we do that, we're gonna have a certain amount of the people that are gonna be like, I don't care if what they did is wrong. They, you got to give them some space because they're a grieving family, and they are, but they've also got to be like, hey, we messed up, we messed up, and listen, there is, I think there's gonna be financial transactions that come out in this that if this goes to trial, they're gonna show that there were people that were getting money, and it's gonna look really, really bad.
So, oh my gosh, man, I did not, because I was under the impression that they might have known that she was with him, but there wasn't anything. But you have verifiable evidence to show that. And when you say family members, you don't have to disclose who, but are these adult family members that would have a say in her life?
Yeah. Now, the one, and her name's already been put out there, is Esmeralda, is a cousin who was a senior in high school, but so. I'm not so much blaming her, but the thing is that Esmeralda's parents, who would be her aunt and stuff like that, knew. Listen, I have other proof against this, but yes, there was adults. There was several people in her family that knew. Listen, her mom admitted she knew she was dating a guy named David, and she said, "Oh, I didn't." She knew who it was. I mean, he would come out there and pick her up, in the Tesla, and they knew she'd been found there, before. Police knew that she was with him at some point before that, because listen, the person that sent the email to his management saying, word is that she's with David. If that's true, please make sure she comes home. She's 13 years old. They only knew to send that to his manager because it was no secret in Lake Elsinore, where she lived, that she was with David, the singer.
That email, is that an email that you can't release out there just yet?
No, I have released it. It's out there.
Could you send me that email so I can show my audience? Because I have not heard anybody report on an email being sent. So just for you guys that don't understand, what Mr. Fisher's saying is that Steve. So was it the school, or was it who was it that sent the email to the manager?
So I can't disclose who sent it. I've disclosed the email with the person's name redacted from it, and I'm looking for it here. I don't know if I have it on this case file or not, but what it says is an email sent to David at mogul.vision. Mogul Vision is his management. His manager's name, Josh Marshall, has a company called Mogul Vision, and so it was sent to David at mogul.vision, which is the email address, and it just said something, paraphrasing. Rumor is that Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who's 13 years old, maybe with the singer David. If this is true, please make sure she gets home safely. Her family misses her. That's very close to what it said. And she showed her up the next morning. And so they got it. And I know David got it. I know for a fact. Again, I can't say why without disclosing, because then he would kind of be able to figure it out and the person's worried about it. But it was sent to David from his management company. And they're like, hey, yo, so you know. And he then forwarded it to some people.
Wow, that's interesting. So that does like so that's here's the email that he's talking about. I got it right here. This is the email right here. The email reads again. He took out the person's name, and it says to David at mogul.vision, David at mogul.vision, February 19, 2024 at 4:13 a.m. There's been talk that the artist David possibly has something to do with the disappearance of 13-year-old Celeste Rivas. If that statement holds any merit, please do the right thing and take her home. Her parents are very worried, and they attached the missing poster picture on there with Celeste Rivas's picture, a few pictures of her. So this is the email that SF Investigates is saying, is talking about right here. Let me play this.
But kind of lost my train of thought there. The email. So that was sent by a concerned person in the Lake Elsinore community that knew, it's one of those communities where people know each other, and especially around her school. It was not a teacher, but I will say it's somebody connected to the school. And
okay, I think is this the email right here? I'm gonna share my screen. I just want to. So you posted this on your Twitter, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna share.
Yes, that's it. And they included a picture of the missing persons flyer in it as well.
So this is the email that was sent to.
That's
David's
February
manager.
19th of 2024. I mean, this is how long
She was 13 at this time.
Yes, and the thing.
Hey guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, please. It helps out the channel, so I can continue to do what we do here and go boots on the ground, go to the courtroom, go to these places of interest that are part of the case.
Is that like people knew she was with David? This is back in 2024. This is a year before, more than a year before we would even have, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't until September of 2025 that she's found. So all the way back in February of 2024, they're like, Lake Elsinore people know she's with David.
So my question now is, because in this email it says there's been talk that the artist David possibly has something to do with the disappearance of 13-year-old Celeste Rivas. If that statement holds any merit, please do the right thing and take her home. Her parents are very worried. Now my question is this person is not a family member related to Celeste, right?
No, she's not.
So if this random person may have been close or whatever, but whoever this person was, they knew to send this email to this manager. Why didn't Celeste's parents reach out as well?
It's a good question. That's something we'd like answers to. It's hard to, at the very beginning, we asked the same questions.
Okay, so I found the video of where, thank you guys, I appreciate that, of where he's talking about that one of the teachers was talking about David to his classroom. So let me play that for you guys. It's just the ads are going. So let me play this for you guys. Share my screen. There we go. Share my screen, screen share, bring it up, screen share. Here we go, make it bigger. All right, here we go. This is who he's talking about.
In front of, that's her in my classroom, in front of this poster right here. Okay, hold up, I got another one, because I got a picture on TMZ of this other kid exchanging stuff with the rapper who we alleged did this stuff. Hold on a second, because he's also in my classroom.
Wait, how long ago was this?
We all just found out yesterday who it was, but she's been missing since I taught her. So when I taught her, she met this dude on social media. He was a rapper in LA. He came and got her. She ran away from home. She was gone for like a month. The cops found her in Hollywood, brought her back to our school. She came back to our school, kind of told people this story. She disappeared again in May of that year, May of 2024. That's when her friends told me what happened, that it was this rapper, and then I found out yesterday that she's now dead in that rapper's car, cut into pieces. You want to know how they met? I feel like I just said it. Social media.
That's wild that they knew, the school knew. Isn't that wild? Oh my gosh, man. It's so boils my blood that so many people knew. Let me share my screen.
Or something like, okay, why wouldn't the parents do it? I mean, think, okay, well, maybe this is when ICE raids are really ramping up, right? And we're like, okay, maybe there's like documentation issue, but that's not the case. And we find out, well, okay, so that's not the case. So what is it then? You know, and then things start coming out about there's photos of meetings in Lake Elsinore with David with a paper bag, apparently full of money.
Have you ever posted the photo of that on Twitter?
I think I have. If not, if you just search David, bag of money like Elsinore or something like that, it'll come up. It's a pretty well known picture now. He's in a parking lot.
Yeah. So, do you know when that picture was dated?
I don't remember the exact date. But this is during the time when she's, when she's missing. So, and let's see,
to my Discord people, if you can, that picture with David with the brown bag. Oh, I think I see. Let me see. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I kind of saw it. If someone can send it in my Discord, that'll be much appreciated. Let me see. So
yeah, that's it right there. Yep.
So do you know who these people are right here?
I do. I can't say who, because they're minors too. I do.
Oh wow! So he does know who the kids are. That's interesting. So yeah, this is where David was paying these kids off. I think Master Death was like on it too with this one. He was saying that. What were you saying, Master Death? That they bought a dirt bike or something with it, and it was like $5,000 or something like that.
Is it any relation to?
They're not related. I'll tell you, there are people now that are definitely fighting for Celeste, though.
The people fighting for Celeste. Oh.
Yeah.
So, and this is him in. This is him in. Where was it that she was again?
This is Lake Elsinore, where she lived and went to school. This is like 3 blocks from her house.
Lake
Elsinore. And keep in mind, Lake Elsinore is about 75 or 80 miles from the house where David lives, so it's not like just around the corner. So he's out there for a reason.
And I was gonna say, so, oh man, like, because I don't want the main focus needs to be on, because Celeste isn't here anymore, so she needs justice for her family. But I know you don't want to say it, but I don't care. I'll take the bullet. I see this as a lot of people in her life failed her, where a lot of this could have been prevented before it got to this point.
Her death could have been prevented.
You can say that this is victim blaming and stuff like that. Well, no, this is just accountability. This is a child, and a child needs to have some kind of guidance to keep people away from bad people. It doesn't matter how much money someone has, status, or anything like that. And
so here's a better picture for you guys. See, there's David right there, paying off these kids.
And so because this is a lot of new information that I feel like mainstream media isn't like talking about there being 2 different houses. So Celeste went to 2 different houses, and one of those houses there was a case report about her where was it a missing persons case report, or was it a different type of case report?
It stemmed from a missing persons case. So West Hollywood had apparently been asked to do like a welfare check or look for Celeste when she was missing at this house, and so they had an open report about it. I don't have the exact details. I can't get it because they've shut me off from it. But what they did tell me was there's an open investigation. So I think that's one of the that's one of the ways they can say that she was murdered as a witness. But it doesn't even have to be that. It can be to her own case. But it all it just shows just by the by the dates of like that email that was sent and stuff. This has been going on a very long time, and he wasn't worried. You know what I mean? Like he kept having her come back, and he wasn't worried about it. So I don't know. Like it was. I think there's a reason why we haven't seen a lot of statements. And listen, like you said, it's about accountability, right? And I don't care if she was a handful. Maybe she was, and if parents get to the point where they just can't, they don't know what to do anymore. They can't just let them be like, okay, just go live whatever life you want to live. He's rich. What could go wrong? That he's famous. That you can't, like. There's, as much as I hate the CPS system, there are systems in place by the state. You got to go. You can't just make a decision that they can. Well, she's 13. I guess she got this. You can't do that, right? And so there's got to be accountability. I understand that. I'm sure they're grieving. I'm sure they feel a tremendous amount of guilt. But this can also be a learning experience, maybe for other parents, that this can never be right. And it's never right for these predators because they seek these are the people they seek out. You know what I mean? Like David had his choice of a lot of different girls, and there's a reason he chose this underage one that probably had a lot of things going on in her life that she probably disclosed to David. She's a victim, and he just picked her off because it was easy to do.
Did Celeste have a father in her life, or was it just her mother?
Yeah, her father's still alive. I don't know to the extent that I don't know what type of relationship that was. I don't know what the relationship was between her and her mother even. I've heard different accounts, so I don't know. I don't think the family life was spectacular by any means, but she's the little kid that deserved, to be watched over and guided and helped and loved. And I'm not saying they didn't love her, but she like a year and a half, like she was gone before she was found deceased. Like, and she's 13 and 14. Like, I don't.
Hey, thank you, Cookie Coder 25. Big shout out to my friend Jazz, who is a top fan of the channel. Hey, thank you, Jazz. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that so much. Boom. Let me play this again. I actually visited this location. It's not far from Celeste Rivas' home. Like, I did it in what, like 10 minutes walk? I walked this in like 10 minutes or 6 minutes or something like that.
Can't wrap my head around how that.
When you say a year and a half, like that's because I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, a year and a half, like they had no Was that year and a half really a year and a half of her missing, or was that just a year and a half of her just not sleeping at home?
Okay, so that's a very good point, and what we come to find out is it really wasn't a year and a half of her being truly missing, because she showed up at a couple of these events, like her cousin's high school graduation, but we know now that she most likely was killed on or very close to April 23rd. The time frame from April 23rd to September 8th, when she's found in the trunk, is a long period of time that you think people would have been like banging down David's door, being like, "Hey, we have not heard from her, not even like a hello or anything. What's going on? How come she hasn't checked in? How come she hasn't sent a text to her brother or her sister or to her cousins and nothing? That's a long period of time, but I don't know. I don't know if anybody was banging down his door. When the news came out that a body had been found in his Tesla, I don't know why people weren't at the police station saying, "My daughter knows that guy," and I haven't seen my daughter or heard from my daughter in a very long time.
Wow. So I don't know how much you know, but did the parents go to the police station, or did the police have to go to the parents?
TMZ actually. TMZ had somebody, guy online that kind of figured it out in the Discord, and then he started like threatening people. There's a weird sequence of events, but what it comes down to is he went to LAPD, and then he went to TMZ. And TMZ called the mom and was like, "Hey, does your daughter have this certain tattoo?" Because the medical examiner had put out to the public that she had a tattoo that said "shh," and then they kind of put together. But the thing is that that was news. Like this was big news in LA, right? This young girl, unidentified still, had been found in David, the singer's Tesla. They knew it was gonna be her. And, the Discord was talking about it.
And was this David's Discord, or was it just random?
David's. Mm-hmm.
I guess to wind it down, is there any, two questions. Have there been evidence that you found that the police didn't have that has aided further into this investigation where it sent it into a different route? And also, is there a piece of evidence that you either have found yourself or you know about to where you can definitively say without a shadow of doubt that he was the one who murdered her?
And so to take your last question first, there's nothing like a video of something happening or even a body being taken out that I've seen, right? Of a totality of a lot of different evidence, I am certain that they have the right guy. I don't think they have all the guys or girls. I don't think that they have them all. I think they have the main one, and I hope that there's going to be more. But I do think this is going to be a circumstantial-based case. I think this is going to not be based so much on the actual physical evidence they have as it is going to be on people rolling over on David.
This is the anime he was talking about earlier that he's like cut her arm off. He stabs the anime character here. And then that's David's alter ego. He calls him Itami. Translated to pain. So he looks like he's drinking here. Drinking, heavily drunk, throws a bottle down, smashes it. I think this person telling him to go or something. And then he goes, comes back. Full of rage. Look at that. All that blood, all that. And just chops off her hand. Look at that. Isn't that wild? I mean, this is what it was on his mind. Star says, Mark, you remember Josh Marshall's daughter? Do you think Celeste traveled international using her passport? I mean, if she did, geez, man, that guy was going to be in the world of trouble. Let me play this again.
Finally, to answer your first question, yeah. So there was some evidence. I don't know if LAPD, we kind of put their feet to the fire on it. We found a burn cage. David had purchased a burn cage, an incinerator, and it was at the house.
So that incinerator wasn't at the house before?
Well, we found it at the house, but I mean, why do you have an incinerator and a chainsaw? Like you don't need it at this house, and it comes with all the yard people and stuff like that. You don't do any of your own maintenance, right? But why do you have an incinerator and a chainsaw? There's evidence, that was left behind, like
yeah, that anime video was well before her death, I believe. I'm almost sure it is. Let me check. Let me just double check on that. But here's the autopsy report, and look at all these cuts. This is what this dude was thinking about.
SD card from a camera, photos of him and Celeste together, and so this is all stuff we passed on to. And listen, I've met with the DA's office. There's been grand juries. I think that those transcripts they said yesterday will be released soon, and so I think more of my statements will.
Actually, I'm so happy you brought up the grand jury.
Damn, that's gonna be interesting. Those transcripts, man. I'm gonna try to get a hold of those transcripts if I can. That's gonna be very interesting. So he said he did testify, that SF did testify. Let's see. Where's the interview? Oh, here we go. Let me slow it down.
I don't know, because I've obviously done grand juries. So I don't know how much you can reveal, but why didn't this get just regularly in, because from what you're saying, I mean, from just online, you see this totality of evidence to where it's obvious that there's enough evidence to say that a crime probably occurred and David was a part of it. So why wasn't he officially indicted by a grand jury?
I don't know. I don't listen. They came out.
See, that's a very good question. We all have. If there's so much evidence, if there's 40 terabytes, why wasn't he indicted? But maybe that's what it is, though, right? If it's an investigative grand jury that they present it, maybe that's what it is. I don't know. It's an interesting question, though.
Saying that they were in lockstep with LAPD and anybody saying different isn't correct. I don't think they were. They went to great lengths to keep all the evidence completely secretive. They got the medical examiner's reports sealed. and even in the medical examiner even came out with a statement where they thought that was not right to do. They thought that her family deserved to have answers of what happened to their daughter. They didn't like doing it. There was grand jury. I've had to be somewhat quiet about that. Although as witnesses don't have to be, they're not.
Right, that's what I was saying. It's just for investigative, right? Good point.
Not kept to any secrecy. It's only the grand jurors themselves. And then I was threatened, with contempt. But I don't have a problem saying here because I know they're going to be unsealed. I did testify twice in front of the grand jury, and I don't know why they didn't indict. I don't think.
I wonder what his testimony is, like what his level of involvement is. I wonder what, maybe what he saw, like who was moving the Tesla. But yeah, I wonder what his testimony is. It's interesting.
My personal thought is that LAPD probably was sick of the public giving them a hard. I wonder if part of it is that they were sick of being asked, "Is this a blown investigation?" And they just said, "We're gonna go ahead and arrest him, and the DA can either pick up charges or not pick up charges." And maybe that's what it came down to. And if it did come down to that, then I commend my client for because they were like, "We're gonna, this started as us needing answers. What happened in our house, but we're gonna turn it into making sure that Celeste."
So that anime video came out 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Wow. Yeah, this one right here. The rehab. It's called Rehab of all things. Wonder if David was going in and out of rehab. I mean, that's what this is titled. So this is him. It's this is Itami, and then this is supposed to be David. This is one of his animes. Pretty interesting stuff. He's like fighting with himself. The struggle between good and evil. Might be struggling from that. See, look like he turns into Itami, his alter ego. Yeah, this is the video. And then this is that part where he just goes into a rage. Boom, slashes her arm. So weird. And then look, a knife or a sword. Isn't that wild? Look at that. That's so disturbing. That is so disturbing. Like knowing what we know now. Let's see. No, look at that. That's so wild. All right, let me take this off. Share this. Let me play it.
Let's get justice, and nothing gets left behind. No evidence. Nothing's going to get swept under the rug, and we're going to hold their feet to the fire. And if they're not going to charge them, then we're going to go on this worldwide damn campaign, and we'll show the evidence ourselves if we have to. And we were starting to get more vocal, and I'm not saying that that's why this happened, but I think that there was a lot of people that were in that situation. Like, listen, we've waited long enough. This girl needs justice. It shouldn't take 7 months to figure out what happened to a girl that was found in.
And to that point, Stars, the one that's My Little Stars here, she actually called representatives in California right before the arrest and put pressure on the representatives here in California. So kudos to Stars. Maybe that was the thing that set it all off. That is like, what? He's not arrested? What? This is going on? What? They found this, that, and the other? Let me find out. You know what I mean? Because that's all it takes. Like, is for like a head guy to call LAPD or the district attorney and be like, "Hey, what's going on over there?" Right? and they're like, all right, this is okay, this is about to get out of hand. Let's go forward with it. So I do believe that uh I mean everybody plays a part in all of this, and I think Stars did play a part in it too by putting pressure.
In the front of a Tesla that was registered to David, that was in a wealthy neighborhood with tons of cameras, and lots of people around all the time, and what's taking so long? And finally, I think it hit a boiling point, and I don't think that this was planned. Because of the way they went, everything is going to be unsealed. Even they said yesterday the search warrants are all going to be unsealed. They probably are today. I'm going to go to the courthouse and see if any of them are unsealed yet as soon as we're done. And so I don't know. I think there was a disconnect between the DA's office and LAPD, and I think LAPD arrested them, and I'm glad they did. I don't think it should have taken this long.
We're saying that the DA and the LA was disconnect, but from Beth Silverman's mouth, she was saying that they were working together with law enforcement, sheriffs, and the LAPD, and she was actually there with one of the detectives. He looked like the head detective sitting behind her, and they were like in communications with what can and can't, what they do or don't have in regards to search warrants. If they could give them the search warrant numbers, if they can start off with that. So she was like, yeah, we've been working together hand in hand. So that's what Beth Silverman was saying.
But
you shouldn't have to bully a prosecutor into doing their job.
Right. I mean, listen, I understand that investigations take time. This is what I do for a living. I get it. However, this is not like we found a skeletal frame out in the middle of the desert and we have nothing to go from. This is, like I said, she was found in a car registered to David, and she was known to be in a relationship with David. That's a pretty big starting point, right? And this is a guy who self-admittedly grew up on the internet and documented everything. And we've said that from the beginning. We're like, I guarantee he documented everything. It's all, and then we find out they said yesterday in court that his iCloud account alone, just his iCloud account, they would need a 10 terabyte drive to copy just his iCloud account.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And when I was in the courtroom, I mean, I was like blown away with terabytes. That's a lot, terabytes. Let me ask ChatGPT what it is equivalent to a terabyte, so we can break it down. What is a terabyte equal to in terms of documents, videos, etc., right? Music, etc. All right, let's see. So it's 1,000 gigabytes. Dang. 1,000 gigabytes. So it would be roughly 250,000 to 500,000 documents. So most documents are like 50 kilobytes to 1 megabyte. In terms of music, it'd be 200 to 250,000 songs. And videos, HD videos, it'd be equal to 500 hours. 4K videos, 100 to 200 hours. Movies, 200 to 300 hours of 300 full movies. Photos, 200,000 to 300,000. Wow, that's wild. So simply way to put it, it says it's basically your entire phone's life for years, or a huge YouTube creator archive, or enough space that only video or games will fit in it. So he had 8 of these. 8 terabytes. Wow. Let me play this again. In just his iCloud alone. And you know what? The defense gave the prosecution, Beth Silverman, 5 terabytes of hardware, of a hard drive, so they can store it. And then Beth Silverman's like, I told you need 1 terabyte, 10 terabyte, because we can't split it when it uploads to the storage, to the physical storage. She's like, you can tell she's getting frustrated because she's like, we can't split it into 5 terabytes. You have to have one big 10 terabyte of a hard drive in order for us to upload the 8 terabytes on his iCloud alone. Isn't that wild? Let me play this again.
That's none of the other stuff. So everything's in there, 10 terabytes. So shouldn't have taken this long. I'm glad that justice for Celeste is happening, and I truly do not think it would have happened if the public didn't stay engaged in this case and they weren't so vocal. I think that it very well could have gotten swept under the rug, but because everybody was like, we want to know what happened, and nobody forgot about it, which I think was easy to do during like the Nancy Guthrie case and some other cases.
Yeah, you know what? There was a level of like, what's going on, this, that, and the other. I mean, I was talking to some of my subs, and I was like, look, I'm going to get ready to do a protest. I mean, we were ready to do protest, even if it was just me or gathering, for a peaceful protest in front of the courthouse or in front of the LAPD department. We were going to start doing that. And then boom, it was like within like days or like the next day there was an arrest. It was like, what? It's wild. We weren't, nobody was giving up. Everybody was still kind of, I get it with the news cycle, but for this channel, for me personally, I was not going to let this case go. There was just no way in my mind that somebody should be able to get away with this and think that it's okay, right? And go about their life and go and dance and sing. No, it's just not fair, and it's not right for something like this to brutally happen to Celeste Rivas, a 14-year-old girl that was placed in the front trunk of David's Tesla in the hot sun. It's just not right. It is not right. Badash said what? What did she say? Yeah, stars too. Everybody on Reddit. A lot of other YouTubers too. So kudos to everybody that stuck with the case, everybody that just kept going forward, because in the end, it's not about me. It's not about anything else. It's about the case, and it's about the missing and the murdered. And in this case, it's about Celeste Rivas. Absolutely. Absolutely. What are you saying that somebody said something? I can't see it. I don't know where it's at. I'll look at it in a minute if they type again. Let me play this again.
Everybody got sidetracked, but people stayed on this case and were loud online.
Yeah, people stayed with the case like we did, like I did, like the Shark family did, right? We stayed on this case, and when I got back, I visited the memorial when the Nancy Guthrie case was still going on, to say, look, we haven't forgotten about you, baby Celeste. We haven't forgotten about you. And I'm always optimistic. I'm always optimistic with these cases, and I want to believe that there will be resolution, there will be an arrest, there will be work behind the scenes. And so I came back, and I came back with that same mentality. And we went out there and we gave her some flowers for the memorial. And then just recently we visited her memorial, and we gave a nice bouquet of flowers with a face and a teddy bear from all of you guys. So thank you guys too for keeping the story alive and keeping the hope alive. Let me play this.
And stuff, and that kept their feet to the fire at the DA's office and LAPD, and I hope everybody's proud of themselves, because I think that the reason charges came are because of the public. No,
I think you should be proud of yourself too, man. Just a huge big up to the house owners, because they could have just tried to sweep this under the rug, so they weren't. Because I mean, they weren't involved in it either way. But the fact that they went above and beyond to get you on this, the links that you went through on this case. So guys, this is his Twitter right here. Make sure you guys go follow him, because on his.
Oh yeah, the terabyte thing. 1 terabyte source equivalent of 250,000 photos, 500 hours of HD video. This is 40 terabytes. Wow. A terabyte is 1,000 gigabytes, approximately 156 new iPhones worth of evidence. That's a lot. That's a lot. Thank you for that, Bad Ash, and Julie for pointing that out. Thank you.
Twitter. He's going to just be giving updates all the time. He's following this case. It's going to be SF underscore investigates. 33 missing persons found since 2023. So huge shout out to. And one last question. A big misconception is two things where they'll say like there's this other Celeste. Like that's a lot of people like to throw out. Is there even another Celeste, or is that something that they like to just throw out? And also, did Celeste have a tattoo of David on one of her fingers?
Yes, she did, and that finger's gone.
So
and
the tattoo with the tattoo was still on her body, but the
that was
David
still
tattoo,
there.
Yeah, the tattoo of the shush is still there, but the tattoo of David is gone. Yes.
But the ring finger, and the other finger on the other hand were gone, and that's the one that has the David, and also she had a ring from him.
That's wild. So he took the ring too. Fucking piece of shit. Allegedly.
And well, there's a little bit more information on that. I can't give out yet, but if we talk again in like another week or 10 days, I think I can give out some information on that. But that's gone, and I what was the first part of the question?
and the other part was about the other Celeste. A lot of people like to use her as a scapegoat. Like no, like the live stream. A lot of people are like, no, that's not her. That's the other Celeste. That's the of age Celeste.
So there is another Celeste that was not super close. She was really close with Asia, or who's one of the people that was like always around. So that was just a coincidence. There was another Celeste. It wasn't a decoy or anything like that. So yes, there was an adult Celeste. It's not, but that 100% is her in the live stream. And the delete everything live stream. That's her. That's Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the minor. And she, I think that's very calculated. One thing I've heard about what was happening at the end was she had lost all respect for David. She knew, she figured out, like, she'd now been isolated, taken away from her school, from her family. She was being isolated and just used as an object when it was convenient for him. And she had lost respect for him. And when she came out and
Yeah, see, this is, I think, what happened. I think she was growing up. She was starting to be her own person, and she started to see the light. She woke up and said, man, this isn't right. What this guy's been doing, and she's getting older. She was going to start turning 15 and, being her own person. And I think that's what happened. I think because it's about control, and David started to lose control. And I think it started to escalate, and he has his albums coming out, his tours coming out, and she was a threat, and it came to that point where he in his mind had to do something. The trigger. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just heartbreaking, man. It's just freaking heartbreaking. Let me continue.
said, oh, like child rape on that. That was Celeste. Celeste was smart. And she knew, and that was her calling him out. I don't think that was by accident,
Right, because who at that age talks about the R word and kids in the same sentence? You're a kid. You shouldn't be thinking about that. Not even close. Let me play this.
No, I mean, that I think would be a huge. Did she say her age in there? Because every time I hear it, it sounds like it's muted. I'm guessing people did that. What was the exact words that she said on that live stream?
She said, well, the word she said, like child rape. She brought up child rape to him, and then he goes, whoa, and he talks about, oh, I media trained you, and but she brings up child rape, and she says those exact words, and that's when everybody in the chat starts talking about like Epstein Island and stuff, and then he wants to get deleted. And then, although he made it seem like kind of a joke, I mean, he actually called the mods after they ended that and told them to delete that.
If you look on my stream, I'm gonna play it for everybody.
I personally don't.
Yo, I media trained you.
No, you didn't.
That's controversial.
It's controversial of raping kids.
Raping kid, not
It's almost like she, you know what? I just heard it right there, and she pauses. It almost, wow, look at this. It almost sounds like she's questioning, right? It's controversial of you are kids. It's almost like she's gonna say that, and she like held back a little bit. It's almost like she was gonna say of you are kids. Wow, I just noticed that right now. It looked like she was about to say that.
raping kids. Yeah, that's controversial. Raping kids.
And this is
Really
Celeste.
good.
Okay,
It's been a
That's
good
Celeste.
one. Bye.
That's
guys.
Celeste Rivas from
Mwah,
Lease.
mwah, 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 mwah. Oh my! Delete everything. Delete everything. Everything goes. Everything goes. Everything.
And he called his mods right after that, and make sure that it got deleted.
Wow. You wouldn't need to delete that unless it was true. It's one thing someone saying something controversial on stream, and then it's like, all right, we're gonna end stream, but it's a whole nother. Like I mean, I'm in the stream reverse. And when you say mods, delete that. That is something you don't want out. It's one thing just to end it, but it's another thing to say, hey, make sure no one. So it's a blessing that was actually clipped. And thank you for giving us clarification. And Mr. Steve, I would genuinely love to talk with you again. Genuinely, so like I say, let's just maybe give it a week, so we can see what more things come out in court, and so that way you can speak, because I feel like you have a lot more that you want to say, but the most important thing is that this case goes forward and nothing comes out that can get you in trouble or jeopardize the case, because we don't want to give this weasel David any wiggle room at all. And also, you were saying earlier that you don't think that the LAPD are going to be pressing charges with the minor that you're in contact with. Don't say where she is, but is she out of the state of California?
Yes.
So,
but she was. I mean, just recently. This all happened to come, and she's willing. She's willing. Like if prosecutors want to charge her, she's a willing participant. So, and this is something that we passed along in the last day or so to reiterate that she's willing to be a witness.
Is she the minor that just came out recently? I don't know if you saw. There was like some Instagram DMs that were just put out. Was that her?
I don't know exactly which one. Listen, I'm in touch with two of them, so I'm sure it's one of them. I'm not sure which ones I'm in touch with more than one minor besides Celeste. So there's multiple, and just one thing I want to say about that, that leads into that before we hang up is thank you for what you do and what your followers, kind of the crusade that you guys are on. I've watched your stuff, and it's getting these people off the street. There's just, protecting these kids. It's like somebody's got to stand up and protect these kids, their children, And thank you for you and your subscribers that do that, and please keep doing that important work and taking these people off the street.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fisher. I genuinely do appreciate that, guys.
All right. Man, that was a really good interview. Really good interview. And that was from let me see. That was from Gideon Premier. So shout out to him. Very good interview. There's another video that came out too that I'm trying to catch up with everything about the case, because when you're in the courtroom and you're out there, you're not really hearing and seeing much of the coverage, right? Because you're going live, you're not, deep diving it as much as you would like to. So that's what I was going to do today. I didn't have a live for yesterday, but because I was doing adulting, and so I wanted to catch up with you guys, and I thought maybe let's just go live, and have some coffee this morning with you guys and go live. Let's see. So let me share this screen right here, so we can catch up. Actually, let me grab the P.O. box if you guys want to send cards or anything for the memorial or for the... we will be going to... I wanted to go to the cemetery after the next court hearing, because we did go to the memorial to drop off some flowers. So I thought it'd be a good idea from all of us to go to the cemetery and drop off some flowers too, just to keep up that momentum, that momentum. So let me play this. This is from News Nation. I think Steve Fisher's on here too, but this is a new one. This came out today. This came out a few hours ago.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Jesse Weber Live. So we have got just another absolutely jam-packed show for you this Thursday, because first of all, there are big updates in the murder case against singer David that we've been following, including the release of the medical examiner's report and what was apparently found on his phone. That came out in court today. We're going to get into it. Plus, big news out of the Middle East, right? Israel, Lebanon have now agreed to extend the ceasefire on the war front by 3 weeks in a deal that was worked out in Washington, D.C. We're going to break down exactly why that is important and what it means for negotiations between the United States and Iran, because the tensions, once again, are running quite high with the Strait of Hormuz. Later on, daughter of Lynette Hooker, who went missing in the Bahamas, she's going to join me. Remember, Lynette disappeared after allegedly falling off a dinghy that she and her husband, Brian, had been riding on in order to get back to their sailboat. Lynette's daughter traveled with her boyfriend to the Bahamas. They did their own investigation, and they're going to share if they found anything, and more particularly if they found anything that would support or contradict Brian's account. Also tonight, the Makeshift Project, okay? Social media account, billions of views. You've probably seen these videos. They're probably in your algorithm. The two guys behind it coming on set. I want to know how they became a success, and we're going to have a little fun. We're going to do one of their blind rankings. I think you're going to like the topic. But we got to go back to David, okay? Big day today. So it was 1 year ago today. Prosecutors claim 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez was lured to a Hollywood Hills home and killed, and her body dismembered and hidden inside of a Tesla. Today, the man accused of murdering her back in court. Now, there are no cameras there, but we have somebody who was inside. But we're talking about 21-year-old singer David, real name David Anthony Burke. He apparently sat shackled in an orange jumpsuit, remained calm and quiet as prosecutors laid out these new disturbing allegations. What do I mean? Telling the court, telling the judge, they apparently found a, quote, significant amount of child pornography on his phone. Now, to be clear, we don't know if Celeste was included in those images, but that revelation, that alleged revelation, adds a new and troubling layer to this case. It makes me also wonder, are we talking a new set of charges? I'll explain. But prosecutors also disclosed that a wiretap was used during the investigation, and that there were 3 separate grand juries looking into this case. 3? We always thought there was 1. They say there's still a large amount of digital evidence, more than 40 terabytes to process and turn over to the defense. So the judge set a preliminary hearing.
Yeah, the sketch, he looked more like that than the sketch that they had. The sketch that I put out on my thumbnail looks exactly how he was looking at in court.
For May 1st. So that's where a court will determine if there is sufficient evidence, sufficient probable cause to support the charges for this case to move forward. Now, David has pled not guilty to these charges of first-degree murder, sexual abuse of a child, mutilation of human remains. Prosecutors claim he killed Celeste when she threatened to expose what they describe as an illegal sexual relationship with a minor. So after today, as you can imagine, there's a lot of questions. For that, I have 2 great guests. I turn to missing persons private investigator Steve Fisher, who's been all on top of this case. He was in the courtroom today for all of this. And also Mark Aragos, high-profile criminal defense attorney.
I'm gonna drop in my PO box if you guys want to send any stuff related to the Celeste Rivas case. Let me post it right now while we play this video.
Friend of the show. We also co-host the podcast Reasonable Doubt, 2 Angry Men. Gentlemen, always happy to see you. Steve, I'm going to start with you. You were there today. How did Burke look, number 1? And 2, did he have any kind of reaction when prosecutors revealed that they apparently found all this material on his phone?
Yeah, they brought him in. Sheriff's brought him in an orange jumpsuit, and then they handcuffed him to the stanchion on the desk. He did not look at the gallery at all or the defense side. He just sat down, didn't even acknowledge his attorneys, although they were back there with him earlier. He stared forward. I've heard reports that he looked confident and everything. He did not look that to me. Of course, you know.
No, he didn't look confident. He looked nonchalant. He looked like, I don't know. He looked like it was, just another Monday, you know. Monday suck. This Monday sucks. That's how I felt. Like that he was his demeanor.
No, it's all subjective because I didn't know him before, but he did not. He didn't look confident to me. He looked like he was defeated.
Well, Mark, I mean, these new allegations about material on his phone, you couple that with a wiretap. My first thought, the attorney and me, I'm wondering, are the feds involved? I mean, I'm wondering, are you now potentially talking federal charges here?
Well, given the history, the more recent history, that's entire. I would not be dismissive of that. If you had asked me 5 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have said no, it's not likely. But given what has happened recently in Los Angeles County, that's entirely possible. But let's take one step back, if we could. Part of what was happening here, and I had talked to you about this, Jesse, when the defense did not waive their speedy trial rights or speedy preliminary hearing rights, that forced the prosecution's, basically called their bluff. Prosecution is going to do anything and everything, in my humble opinion, to try to get around doing a preliminary hearing next week. They started today by, the cynic in me would say, they brought up there's child porn on the phone, there's 3 grand juries, there are federal, or there are wiretaps. All of that stuff was nothing more than a way to say, okay,
Sidney Lane says, or she asked, defeated or bored? He seems so into himself. Yeah, he seemed more bored than defeated, in my opinion.
You're going to put our feet to the fire. We're about to slime you right back, and that's and it was effective. We're leading with it. You're leading with it.
Definitely a strategy. Let me, Steve, stand by for 1 second. I just want to go back to you, Mark, on this. 3 grand juries? 3 grand juries? There was only reports about 1, as far as I could tell,
yes.
And all investigative grand juries that hear this evidence. They're usually used to lock in testimony. None of them, as far as we can tell, were tasked with returning.
The thing you have to realize is that David is hearing this for the first time too. Okay, David is hearing what some of these things that are coming out. Oh, thank you, Julie, for sending 5 gifts or sent a gift. That's cool. A high five. This is funny. Thank you. But back to his demeanor. I think what happened is, let me say this again. When at some point in the trial, in the preliminary hearing, is that there was times when he was nodding in agreement and was nodding like, oh, not bad. Where you do that, like where you go, not bad. Like, wow, you got that. Not bad. That's the impression I got from him at times. Or when they were saying like this, that, or the other about the charges, he wasn't like, nope, like that. He was just like, yeah, like, okay. All right. Like, it's just like nonchalant. I mean, that's the best description I can come up with of how his demeanor was in the courtroom when I was in there. Let me play this.
Turning an indictment, maybe not, but 3 grand juries, why 3?
Let me just tell you why, and this has been one of the great frustrations for me as somebody who practices in LA County. This idea of an investigative grand jury is nonsense. There are 3 grand juries because grand juries meet on certain days of the week. There are grand juries, and if they want to indict, all the prosecutor has to do with any grand jury is present them with the charging document and say, okay, go deliberate and bring back a indictment. So this idea that they're investigative grand juries is just a nonsensical way that the prosecution puts out there this narrative that everybody buys into, that somehow we're just doing an investigation. It's a way to lock in witnesses. It's a way to scare lawyers. It's a way to just throw a kind of a monkey wrench into anybody who wants to do anything. It's absolute nonsense. If they wanted to indict. They could have asked the Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday grand jury to bring an indictment of this guy, which is why I said before, this idea that somehow the LAPD was working in lockstep with the DA's office makes zero sense.
And Steve, back to you, other information, because I understand you allegedly have proof that David was allegedly involved with other minors?
Yeah, and I've brought that up before. So this wasn't a big surprise when, Beth said the word child porn 3 or 4 times today. And she was really, I agree with Mark, there's a lot of posturing going on here. She was really trying to get that out there. But I have another minor that I've been in touch with for months and sent me photographic evidence of her and David at the rental house, and which was an illegal relationship.
Do you know if that's part of the case or going to be part of the case?
I don't know. They've been turned. I can tell you that the photos have been turned over to law enforcement. She's talked to law enforcement. I don't know if that's part of the case or not. They are going to be very protective of the imagery. They made that clear.
Steve, by the way, are people coming forward?
Jesse, let me just.
Well, Mark, just stand by for 1 second. Mark, just stand by for 1 second. I just want to follow up one thing with Steve here. Are people coming forward to you, Steve, with more information about David since he's been arrested and charged?
Yes, yeah, there is. There have been, and a couple of people had indicated to me that they would have something to say if he was arrested. They were nervous about him and people in his orbit, and they're more comfortable now. They still don't want.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? Because that's what happens too in a lot of the cases is that when somebody gets arrested, they're behind bars and they feel a lot safer. So I do get that part. I really do. When people are feeling threatened by somebody that's under an investigation for murder, you don't want to be the next person, right, to get murdered or to get chopped up. Absolutely.
To go public, but they're willing to talk to law enforcement.
I mean, they're coming to you and then you're delivering that information to law enforcement, or they're speaking to you and law enforcement?
I'm connecting them in certain cases. Yeah.
Mark, over to you.
Look, to Steve's point and your question, whether they're going to bring that in, the pretext that they would use, the prosecution would use, is we're going to show that this is what's so-called 1101 modus operandi evidence. That's why it's important that we've got to try to get in the child porn evidence. The reality is it was nothing more than a way to slime him in the setting where there is basically litigation privilege, and they're pushing back. The prosecution, as expected, is pushing back hard on the defense because the defense did not waive their right to a speedy preliminary hearing. This is all.
Thank you, Wendy, for the gifted membership. Lisa Hawkins received it. All right. Thank you so much, Wendy. Appreciate that.
Orchestrated kabuki theater on behalf of the prosecution. They are not going to put their preliminary hearing on next week if they can help it, unless
Mark,
they get rejected. That's not happening.
You could be 100% right. That could 100% be the strategy. But if this preliminary hearing does happen, right, and this is very different than a grand jury, right? This is not one-sided, closed door. Defense has an opportunity to challenge the prosecution's case. It is a low burden to, prove that there's probable cause here to support the charges, that there's sufficient evidence. When you listen to, they say they have 40 terabytes of data that they're going to be turning over. We didn't get a full analysis today of all the evidence they have and all the potential cooperating witnesses. Do you feel differently about how the prosecution, about their chances at a preliminary hearing, or the strength of their case, or what we can expect there?
Look, I say this, sometimes judges smile, other times they get mad at me. Probable cause proceedings in the County of Los Angeles have devolved into whether your client is breathing. That's the standard of probable cause. It used to be a way to weed out weak cases. That has long left the building. Probable cause now is such a low standard that virtually anything works. The problem is, from the prosecution standpoint, they have been singularly singularly secretive about this case, going to the point of shutting down the medical examiner, not letting him speak, sealing the records.
Wow.
They have 2 months after, and I've said this before, 2 months after, they were telling anybody who would listen, they weren't, LAPD wasn't sure a crime had been committed.
There was a lot of back and forth and a lot of lack of transparency that led to a lot of questions here. You mentioned the medical examiner's report. That's what I want to get to. Steve Fisher, Mark Aragos, thank you both. Obviously going to have you both back on to talk about this. But okay, what we just said, these new details, okay, come one day after the medical examiner's report on Celeste Rivas Hernandez was released. And remember, like Mark said, this was delayed by a court order that was one, and this was put forward by the LAPD. They were asking for this. And this is one, by the way, that the Los Angeles County Chief Medical Examiner called this delay unfathomable. They don't usually say that. Now, Celeste's family said that they are devastated, that they are in, quote, profound emotional pain after learning the findings in that report, details that they waited months to learn. They weren't in court today. And I will tell you, as somebody who read through that whole report, when you see what's in it, it is not hard to understand why. So I'm going to give you a warning here. What we're about to walk through, the graphic details of this autopsy, not easy to listen to, because the report lists her official cause of death as multiple penetrating injuries, a 14-year-old girl. The manner of death ruled a homicide. The report identifies 2 significant wounds, one to the chest, one to the abdomen, with the wound to the abdomen piercing the liver. But the medical examiner notes that those wounds may represent sharp force injuries. May, not definitive.
Wow, look at that. That's so wild, because that was from, it looked exactly what the freaking anime video was, man. That's just so mind-blowing.
That kind of uncertainty, we know that could be a battleground in court, battle of the experts. I also want to emphasize that the medical examiner identifies these as injuries that caused her death, so that's separate from what prosecutors allege happened after, including dismemberment. There is a lot of disturbing detail in that report about that, too. Toxicology. Toxicology also raises questions because the report says that the initial screenings showed, quote, presumptive positives for benzodiazepines, methamphetamines, MDMA, but then you had follow-up testing that was inconclusive or negative for some of those substances. Bottom line is, what does this report really tell us? What questions does it still leave open? I got a chance to speak to Joseph Scott Morgan, forensic death investigator, certified forensic expert from Jacksonville State University, host of the Body Bags podcast. Here's some of that conversation. First, penetrating injuries, okay? What does that tell you about the attack, and what does it not tell you?
Well, what it tells me is that, Jesse, I got to tell you, let me just say this. When I heard that the report was coming out, one of the things I was thinking that we were going to see was probably a frenzied attack. And you and I have covered enough cases to know that frenzied means you got multiple stab wounds. Jesse, what we're looking at here are 2 stab wounds that they have made note of in this autopsy report. It's important to understand that one of these, there's two injuries that we're talking about here.
That's what I've been wondering since I got out of the courtroom after seeing David, after seeing what the prosecution had. I mean, this is just the surface, right? This is the tip of the iceberg, so to say. What would be his defense? I mean, what would be David's defense in this freaking high-profile case with that amount of data? What is his defense going to be? It wasn't me. I didn't know anything. I mean, what? I just don't see. I don't see any way out of this. I just don't see any way out of this. And the thing too is that I don't think David knows the severity of what's going on. I think it hasn't hit him yet. I think he's in denial. I think he thought he was gonna get away with it. And now fast forward 7 months, because it took 7 months. You know, I do truly believe that he is in the denial phase. And he still probably thinks that he could get away with this. Like, it's no big deal. It wasn't me, right? Allegedly. And we'll get back to work. That's what it seems like. So I don't see how he's going to get away with it. And I think it'll hit him sooner or later. And when it does, it's going to hit him hard.
We've got one in the right.
And I hope it does. I really hope this does. The severity of it, the seriousness of it.
Abdomen, and it goes directly into the liver, which in and of itself can in fact be fatal. All right. The liver is one of the most vascular organs in the body. So if you don't attend to this, to an injury directly to the liver, you're going to bleed out, and you're going to bleed out probably internally. All right. The other injury is kind of interesting. It is to the left chest. So here, left chest, and it is penetrating what they're saying, the underlying intercostal space, which is actually, if you think about the muscles in between your ribs, that's the intercostal muscles. That's what they're talking about. So it's not necessarily passing through the bone of the rib itself, but what they're saying is there is disruption of the adjacent rib. So as this wound tracks through that intercostal space, it's actually damaging the associated ribs.
Prosecutors say that a sharp instrument was used, yet the report says they may represent sharp force injuries. Do you see room here that the injuries that have been detected may be caused by something else?
Well, yeah, I suppose it could. And I don't think that just because it says sharp force, I don't think that we should in totality flee to knife in our mind. Okay. It could be something else. However, my number one candidate would be knife. And we have to think about how exactly does this examination externally pair up with what they're seeing externally on the body, and how does it compare to a knife wound?
And by the way, there's no murder weapon, so I imagine there would have to be a further analysis with what, a forensic anthropologist possibly.
Yeah, or particularly when you're talking about the ribs, here's one we don't talk about a lot: tool mark expert. And that happens in the morgue a lot. And let me give you, for instance, like if that rib, which I would imagine it had been, I hope it was, that rib or those ribs that were affected by this injury, they should have been saved. Okay, because those bony structures, they're not going to decompose. There is some compromise structurally, but they're not in the same state as the soft tissue. You can actually clean those elements. And so if you can find a weapon at some point in time, a tool mark expert, and they do this a lot, will actually be able to microscopically look at those ribs. You know, they're talking about them being insulted already, that they've been damaged. If you can find an edged weapon and you can actually compare it, they can say with, you know how experts will talk on the stand, will say, well, within reasonable scientific certainty, they can match that up.
Presumptive positive for methamphetamine and MDMA, but then there was another screening that said it was, I think meth was inconclusive and MDMA was not detected.
Yeah.
What should we be making of that? How is that relevant?
I think that it's being affected by the decomposition. And this is going to require further analysis. I can tell you who they're going to put this question to. It's going to be a forensic toxicologist.
A lot of this report is about the dismemberment. I don't want to get into the details, but I want to ask you overview here. Does this indicate, the way they describe it, that this was sloppily done, that there was an element of sophistication? Does it tell you something about the strategy, about the method there? It may be difficult, but you tell me, based on the injuries they document regarding dismemberment, what that tells you about whoever did this.
Highly disorganized. And I wouldn't use the term frenzied. I'd say disorganized, disordered, because traditionally, you know, when we think about a dismemberment by somebody that's skilled with a blade, butchers, surgeons, even nurses, surgical techs, those sorts of things, we know those weak spots. Autopsy people, you know, we know those weak spots from a structural standpoint. We're not going to go, say, for instance, as they did in this case, to mid-shaft of a bone. You're really creating extra work for yourself, and that gives you an idea that this is not very well thought out. And so, yeah, this is highly disordered. It looks like something that someone probably kind of started, stopped, and restarted, perhaps.
And that is why Joseph Scott Morgan is the best. I want to thank him again for coming on. I know it's a difficult subject matter, but important to understand. Up next, the White House is dealing with wars on two fronts, and there's new
Yeah, so this is a video of David playing with his knife. This freaking kid loved knives. This guy was obsessed with knives, obsessed with gore.
I don't even know if you're allowed to show knives on Twitch, but bro, look at this knife I got, bro. Chromium, chromacopia, chromacopia. Oh, you said don't show it? You can't? I can't? Are you for real? You lying? You lying? You lying? You lying?
Another thing that I noticed too is that in this video, this his Hollywood home, it echoes a lot. It echoes. Yeah, the chat. Yeah. Oh man. There's another point I wanted to make. Let's see. Yeah, okay, yeah. So they yeah, this is the point I wanted to make. They are trying to move it, well, they are moving it along. This case is moving very fast. Very fast. And I think what the defense is trying to do is, as I was thinking about it, is I think that they're trying to hope that the DA, the prosecution, isn't ready or prepared as maybe the defense is hoping for. But come to find out, they have a lot of data, so it's just a matter of uploading it and then getting it into their hands. But this is moving quick. This is moving fast. So it sounds like it's a strategic part on the defense's role in this, and a strategic maneuver by the defense. And we're gonna see. But this case is moving fast. I mean, the next court hearing is gonna be, I mean, we've already had two, and we've known, so I mean, there was a lot of information that came out from those two court hearings, and now we're gonna have one on May 1st, which I'm gonna go to, if God permits, because you never know what might happen, right? But I'm definitely planning to go to the May 1st court trial, and I mean, who knows? Who knows what else is going to come out, man? I feel like in this case, like we just barely touched the surface of what they have and what they're going to bring up, and testimony. I mean, the testimony, the iCloud account, the 40 terabytes of data. They also said they had DNA evidence too. DNA evidence. Was it from the house? Was it from the Tesla? Right? I mean, it could be even Celeste Rivas' DNA in the passenger side to prove that she was at one point in his car. Sometimes a lot of with the circumstantial evidence, what happens is like it's like one thing after another. And I think this is how it's going to be. I think with this case, it's going to be the testimony, the iCloud account, the text messages, the voicemail. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they're going to play those voicemails that he has in some of his songs. I think those are going to be played, and that's going to be hard for the family and everybody to hear. Is to hear Celeste's voice in those voicemails. So I think it's going to be something like that, where it's gonna paint a picture, and it's gonna stack, the evidence is gonna stack against them. Yeah, there was the April 29th one, because they said April 29th, and then the first preliminary hearing, May 1st. But I think the 29th is just for them to see where they're at, kind of to touch bases. But May 1st, is the one that I'm seeing. Unless they went back and forth, but I'll double check. I'll double check. If anything, I'll just stay up there. Through the 29th to the 1st. Yeah, the DNA. That's right, Melissa. Tristan, if he did have a housekeeper, I wonder if she heard or saw anything. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, right? Like what evidence they bring up, what the testimony, what people are saying. What did Neil say? What did Asia say on her testimony? What did SF investigate? What did Morgan Roth said with his 2-3 days of testimony? It's gonna be interesting. But guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, please. Appreciate that. But that's all I got for you guys for today. I appreciate you guys hanging in with me and kind of catching up with the latest on the Celeste Rivas case. We're gonna keep a close eye on this. We're gonna be boots on the ground, and I think David's faith is sealed. It's slowly sealing. You cannot escape your faith. When you do something like this, you cannot escape your faith, not in this life or the next. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you, mods, and everybody in here that helped support the channel. I also do have Venmo and Cash App at MarkTheShark943 for both of those. If you guys like to help support the channel, it's not required. It's not necessary, but it is appreciated. It helps me continue the coverage, go out there, and bring you guys the latest in this case. I appreciate you guys. Stay safe out there. Call somebody that you guys haven't called in a while. Tell them you love them. Tell them you miss them, and ask them if they're okay. Ask them if they need anything. Okay, because sometimes that's all. Sometimes what people need is somebody to say, "Hey, how are you? I was thinking about you." So make sure you guys do that. Okay, you guys have a good day. Thank you guys so much, and we'll keep tabs on this. Okay, guys. You guys have a good day. Thank you guys. Bye-bye. Put some exit